just noticed this hasn't put your definition on it. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming it's something specific from that shop, but I got you two. One is called the Genesis. Obviously, it's something that's called Gen 413.
Okay.
And then the other one, I don't remember the name, but they were both
Terra Nova?
Yeah, highly recommended.
Okay. Where from?
The International Cigar Company up in Frisco. Very, very accommodating, by the way. Very accommodating. I enjoyed my experience. I enjoyed the guy that was talking to me. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. That was like a month ago. But it was a great experience going in there. What I would envision a cigar lounge is supposed to be.
Cool.
But it was great.
How was the crowd?
We didn't go into the lounge. Okay. We went into the it's kind of like a members only place. You can go in and smoke your cigars if you choose to, but we were on a date and I don't want to go in and just kind of chill in there, you know.
I think we've talked about this before, but that's kind of the way the bigger one is in our town. Like you go in, like I've always had great conversations there when we've gone in, but you do kind of get the vibe like all of these people know each other.
Yes.
And they don't know me, but you know, it's usually a good crowd and they'll chat. I met the owner. Well, he's one of them. We have an Italian restaurant in our town and surrounding towns where a family owns, like a different brother or cousin, and the whole family owns each location. And one of those brothers was in there, so we talked a lot about that. It was fun.
It felt comfortable. Like had we been in a different mode, we probably would have stayed.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
Warming it up.
Oh.
You ever do that?
No. Oh, okay. I see what you did. Yeah, I've never done that before.
I got you a couple as well.
Yeah, I appreciate
Nothing
that.
Super fancy, but it was from a cigar shop in California, where we went on our big road trip. So we're back. So we haven't recorded. I've been traveling for a month. In the last month, I got back Saturday night, but prior to that, for the exact 1 month before that, I slept in my own bed 3 nights, which is why we took a little break from recording, because we tried to just try to talk into a phone.
It doesn't work very well for me. I'm not good at it.
We like this environment a little better.
Yeah, and I like to look at someone's face, and that may come off as sounding odd, but I don't do well when I'm just talking into a microphone. Like I try to do something like around the Iranian war.
Yeah.
The 6-day war, which we're
because it's not like nothing happened.
Oh gosh, nothing happened. It was a slow.
Not recording.
It was a slow.
Picked a great time to take a month off.
You know what's funny though is for those who a little background, we literally had a discussion like, oh man, this is going to be a great time because like Congress is going to go on vacation.
Usually there's a lull after Memorial Day, you know, but the last month was akin to Trump's first month in office.
Yes.
So much was going on. You can't keep up.
No. And I think too, the weird thing is like, it was all over the place. Yeah. It was a very, we'll talk about this in a minute, but it was a very good month for him.
Yeah. So
I'm on summer break. Okay. And I'm learning this is the first thing on the run sheet. I don't think people work anymore. So I'm going to Walmart. I think when I wrote this down, I think it was like on a Wednesday, and it's seriously like 10 o'clock a.m. and it's packed in there. And I thinking to myself, man, do people not work? Are people literally just off of work, or is the summer so relaxed that you don't have to go to work? And you know, this is not the type of people that you would think. I'm not. Certain demographics look certain ways.
Yeah.
This was not that type of people.
Yeah. You can see somebody who's at Walmart in the middle of the day on a work day and be like, yeah, that's not surprising. And other people are like, no, you look like you have a job.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain what you're talking about, but I understand what you're talking about.
But I
thought the same thing. I've been in Costco because sometimes I'll go to Costco like on a Tuesday morning because it's less crowded than a Sunday afternoon when everybody in the world's there, and it's still crowded. And I'm thinking to myself, don't all these people work? And I'm like, well, here I am on a Tuesday morning at Costco.
It's always shocking to me, too, as a teacher, right? Because I have to work every single day. Mm-hmm. Like, we have to go in. The only time we're off is if we're either on a school trip, taking a bunch of kids somewhere, or we have a sick kid.
Right.
So you're not taking anybody anywhere unless you're like running into Walmart or CVS or something like that.
Right.
So it's kind of weird to me. But what was ironic, though, is literally that next day, Trump comes out and says too many people not working on non-holidays. And I'm like, I literally, now not in that particular holiday, which was Juneteenth, bad timing on his part.
It was very bad timing. I was watching, because I do actually watch, we talk a lot about Bill Maher on here. I do actually watch full Bill Maher episodes. And
Me too.
He talked about that. Like, hey, you can stop celebrating all these holidays, especially the one where you obliterated slavery in the United States. Like, that's probably one. Like that's the newest. That's the newest
probably,
federal holiday. Like you can get rid of Labor Day. We can get rid of the Labor Union holiday. We can get rid of
Columbus Day.
We can get rid of even President's Day. Like, I don't know. But I think Juneteenth is one that you can keep. That's a pretty important day in our history. Pretty good thing in our history. Of course, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's Day is fine. Memorial Day, Veterans Day. But there's, I think, 11 now. I think there were 10 federal holidays, and I think now with Juneteenth, there's 11.
I don't know the answer to that question.
There's 10 or 11. There's none in August. So yeah,
11. You said 11.
Yep.
New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Day, Washington's birthday, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day.
Yeah. In the accounting world, we don't get the January, February ones because it's a busy season. So like we never, like MLK Day is never a holiday for us. Mm-hmm. President's Day is never a holiday for us. So our first federal holiday of the year in the accounting firm is Memorial Day.
Interesting.
Now we get other time off, obviously, but
right.
As far as holidays, but
that does make sense.
They give us floating holidays, so to make up for it, like you want to celebrate MLK Day, you probably can't do that on January 18th because you're slammed busy, but you can celebrate MLK Day on another day throughout the year, call it your floating holiday, and it doesn't count towards your PTO. So just a little way we do things. But I talk to people sometimes who are amazed that we don't get, they're like, it's a federal holiday, you have to get off. I'm like, no, we're a private company.
No.
Heck, the restaurants are open, like those people aren't off. Come on.
Well, and every other basic entity is open as well.
Right.
So I caved on the Rangers.
You got it.
I got it. I think I said,
how many games are we all the way to the All-Star break?
I got it at the beginning of January or June.
Okay.
So I've watched an entire month.
Okay.
And I figure I'll just cancel it once it's over. But the Mavericks are going to be on there, and I'm extremely excited about the Mavericks season now. So I may just keep it. It's only $20 a month, and it was. I think I said this whenever we recorded last about Victory Plus, is that it was going to be about that for my DirecTV to go up, but you can't cancel DirecTV Stream once you get it.
Oh,
so like you have to either go to a totally new package, which gives you 1,000 channels that you don't need. When I was really only wanting one, but now I get all the Rangers, all the Stars, all the Mavericks, and everything else.
$20 a month.
$20 a month. By the way, our two super fans are on the Twitch already saying the 4-hour edition is in. I don't know if we're gonna go 4 hours, but we're definitely gonna try.
Yeah, the run sheet's a touch long today because we've been adding to it for a month.
Yeah, well, and I want to, before you hop into your road trip, I think I did something very similar to your road trip about 10 years ago. We went from where we live in Texas to Colorado Springs, then up to the Black Hills, from the Black Hills over to Wisconsin, and then from Wisconsin back down to Dallas. And it was about 3,500 miles.
Yeah.
Which is wild. And you did it with 6 kids. I didn't do it with 6 kids.
My wife and I did it with 6 kids. We're going to throw that out there as a very important caveat because she was running the ship while I was just driving. I drove the whole thing. We didn't switch out at any time. I didn't feel like I needed to at any time. Okay, turn it on. But we started here. You know, if you live in Texas, the first day of any road trip is just trying to get out of Texas.
Oh,
unless you're going due north, because we are like where we live. We're an hour, depending on where you are, an hour to 2 hours from the Red River. So if you're going due north, you can get out in a little bit. But if you're going west, doesn't matter which direction you're going, or if you're going south, heading down to like Louisiana or something, your first day is just going to be getting out of Texas. And so we did that. We drove up to Amarillo, Palo Duro Canyon, second largest canyon in the U.S., and saw their Texas show. Highly recommend it to see it once. I've seen it once. I don't need to see it again.
Have you seen it before this trip?
No.
Okay.
It was a good show.
I've never seen that before.
It was a good show, and it is something you should go up there and you should see. And like see Palo Duro Canyon, really pretty. I mean, we also saw the Grand Canyon on this trip. Nothing compared to the Grand Canyon, but it's a good show. Found out while we were there, it's kind of one of these things you find out. My mother-in-law was in that show back when she was in college.
Really?
She went to college in Oklahoma. And,
so is it like a Western show, kind of like Cowboys Indians type situation? Or
it
like...
is. The Indian part of it is way too PC over the top.
Oh.
Like, this was our land. Like, well, I know, but like just the way they even say it.
Yeah.
And plus, it's supposed to be Quanah Parker. I'm going to get canceled for saying this. Sound like an Indian. Dude, this guy like was just the most well-spoken American white radio voice. It was a Native American. Like I could tell by looking at the guy, like facial features and everything. Like, you have Native American descent, but you sound like the most maybe Quanah Parker was. My wife teaches about Quanah Parker. I'm sure you have. Maybe it was. And we did stop in Quanah for lunch on the way up there, so that was kind of fun. Stopping in Quanah, Texas. But yeah, we did the Texas show. You need to see it, but now that I've seen it, I don't care to. I mean, I saw it once. It's good. Then we had our long driving day because I'll tell you there's nothing to see in New Mexico. And if you love New Mexico, come at me because I've been through it a bunch of times and found nothing to see there that's not anywhere else. So we drove straight across New Mexico all the way to Flagstaff, Arizona from Amarillo. So that was a long driving day.
It's a long day.
It wasn't bad. Like,
not much to see, but cactus and sand.
Flat.
I kind of equate that to driving from like Weatherford to Odessa.
Well, we did that on the way back.
Yeah, not much.
Not much to see there.
Like El Paso all the way to Abilene is just
we did that
flat.
Yeah, on the way back. The opposite direction, obviously. But so we did that, stayed in Flagstaff, and that's a cool town. Like if you are someone, I don't know how great it is for kids. We obviously had our kids with us, but like that's a cool spot to visit for like a couple. Like it's a cool like coffee shop and breweries type of town.
Okay.
Like if you know what I'm talking about, like you got the stone streets and like tons of breweries, some bars, and like some coffee shops in the morning, like kind of cutesy, place to hang out for a couple days for a weekend. And the weather's amazing. I mean, as soon as we got there, because it's up in the mountains, so it is
I'll have to check that out.
It's cool weather, like it was. We got to like 6 o'clock at night in June, obviously, and it's like 78 degrees.
Really? I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, it's up in the mountains, so it's cool weather. And it got down that night. The house we stayed in, the Airbnb didn't have air conditioning.
Okay.
Like they don't need it. A couple fans, and then, we woke up in the morning, it's like 55 degrees.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was a cool little town. Went up to the Grand Canyon, which is only an hour and a half from the Grand Canyon. That is something we got some good advice to go see and not spend a lot of time there because there's not really a lot to see. And, and unless you're going to hike it, like we literally spent probably a couple hours there, and we were good.
Yep.
Saw some sights, took some pictures, went to the gift shop, got our magnets. We collect magnets. It's our thing. It's not on the screen, but it has been in the past. Our whole magnet fridge wall. And then we headed out to Vegas. And
okay, so I have a question for you about the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
So your kids are?
Youngest is 5.
And the oldest is?
17.
Okay. So I remember when we went I was about your oldest age, maybe a little younger. I was in my mid-teens. And I just remember thinking, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. Like this thing, what I'm looking at is indescribable. I can't describe it.
Yeah.
Did any of your kids feel that? Or were they able to?
The older ones, yes. Yeah, I think the older ones, the 10, 13, and 17-year-old were like, this is pretty amazing. Like and everybody says this, and it's really cliche. If you've never seen the Grand Canyon, I'm not overplaying it. But you really can't describe it or take it in until you're standing there taking it in.
I agree.
Like it is so massive, so it's beautiful. And they took that in. The little ones really liked playing with the squirrels. There's a lot of friendly squirrels at the Grand Canyon. If you've ever been, I've heard that's a similar experience too. So that's what they thought. We took our pictures and it was fine. But it is something I'm glad that we saw. It is kind of a one-way in, one-way out type of attraction. So we basically drove almost all the way back to Flagstaff, heading up to Vegas. And this was the part of the trip where we were excited to show the kids Vegas because we go there often, but did not know how they were going to take it. We left there with our kids wanting to move to Vegas. So I guess it was
successful then, huh?
Yeah, we knew
I know
they
you were
would
nervous
like,
about that.
we knew they would like BattleBots. The boys would. They watched the show all the time, getting to see it live, and it was a great experience. Like, we sat like third row from the big glass box where they do everything.
Right.
We did the backstage tour afterwards where they get to go talk to the engineers and the people building them and everything and get to see it. That was really cool.
Is that worth it?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It was only $75 for our group to do the backstage pass.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was excellent. They really liked that. I mean, they're like right next to the ones that just fought and everything, like in to see, and the engineers are telling them all about it and talking about what the kids are like. The boys are telling them what they would change about it and what their favorite ones are. They love that. When we did that, the girls went and saw a show called Potted Potter, and it's all 7 Harry Potter books in like an hour and 15 minutes in a comedy show. 2 guys doing improv. One of our 13-year-old loves Harry Potter, so we knew she would like it. The other 2 girls loved it. We got good seats. They were front row, so they got my 13-year-old called up on stage. So that was pretty cool. So they loved that experience. But we also stayed at Mandalay Bay, which has an amazing pool complex.
Yeah.
Big lazy river, wave pools. That's what they love. So they spent the day at the pool, walked around. They liked seeing all the casinos. They're beautiful, big, and everything.
Yeah.
They like seeing all the lights and all that. And then
I was about to say there's a lot to see.
the couple shows. Vegas is very much a walking town. It's very expensive to Uber around, but stuff is deceptively far away. It looks close.
Yeah.
But we know some back pathways that keep us in air conditioning the whole time. So we got up to leave Vegas, which we were going to head to Sequoia, and got a message from our Airbnb host that the road to our Airbnb was closed until tomorrow, the next day at 6 p.m., and because of a fire. And so we tried looking at booking other Airbnbs, nothing available, like 3.5 hours away. And we're like, okay. And it was possible, they thought that they had the fire contained in their words, but it was possible if it spread, then they could close the road to the park and we would be able to see it all. And when you go that way, there's nothing else there but Sequoia.
Right.
So
this is Northern California, right?
Central. Yeah. Not quite to Fresno.
Okay.
And there's no road across the mountain. So you leave Vegas, go down to Bakersfield and come up, or you go up around Tahoe and down.
Gotcha.
Which is a long drive either way. So we decided we're not going to do Sequoia, which was tough. We really want to see the trees and the park. And we also like to notch national parks off our list. So we stayed in Vegas an extra day. The kids were thrilled. They went back to the pool like immediately. They just had the best time of their lives.
Was it difficult to book another night in Vegas?
No, but Vegas didn't feel really at capacity, but even if it was, I have status because we go so much. So often. I think they would have been able to accommodate us, but they kept us in our same rooms and everything.
Nice.
So we got connecting rooms for all the children's. So then we stayed, but then we went down to LA, and originally we were just going to go from Sequoia, make an overnight stop in LA, see the Walk of Fame, a couple landmarks, and keep on going down to San Diego, which was like our kind of final destination where we were meeting up with my wife's sister and her family. And so we decided, okay, we'll do an extra night in Vegas and we'll go and do 2 nights in LA and we'll see a little more. So I have some friends that live on our street, good friends that are from Southern California in that area. And I was like, okay, like, I don't know anything about LA. Obviously here in Texas, all we hear about is the riots. Like, honestly, what should we do? We're thinking Santa Monica Pier, like a beach and stuff. And they're like, don't do it. They're like, it's dirty, it's nasty. And I was like, okay, thanks for telling me. And they're like, honestly, if you want to stay somewhere, stay in the Hollywood Hills if you can find a spot. Well, this is literally the day before. And so there were 2 Airbnbs available in the Hollywood Hills. We got one, decent price, and we stayed in Hollywood. LA and Hollywood are on my list of places where I've seen it and I never need to go back again.
Yeah, I don't ever have any desire to go there.
It was so dirty and nasty.
Really?
The Hollywood Walk of Fame was so dirty you couldn't read a lot of the names.
Man.
There were a couple of them that I wanted to clean off because I wanted a picture of the star. And I was like, you guys have a Swiffer or something around here that I can? And I've heard that from a lot of people. I think our favorite thing, like, it was fun to see the old Chinese theater.
Yeah.
And some of the history. And we kind of drove through Beverly Hills and like, oh, all the stars live here. The Griffith Observatory up in the mountains, up in the hills. And then seeing the Hollywood sign up there, that was cool. That was probably our favorite part of the trip. We did that the morning we left out for San Diego. But I'll say, and then we got to San Diego, and I love San Diego. San Diego to California is like Austin is to Texas.
Right. It's
very military friendly. Like it's a great town. And we did basically 3 different beaches there in San Diego.
Water's
Stayed
cold.
for the week. It is cold water. Kids didn't care at all. They were in the water the whole time. Mission Beach, great area. Then La Jolla and Torrey Pines is where all the seals are. So we got to. That's not a place you get in the water. It's very rocky.
Right.
But cool thing to see. And then the last day, Coronado is like Americana.
Right.
We were driving. It's an island, and it's also where a military base is. And you drive down the street, and you literally see neighbors helping each other put their flags out on their houses because it's like the day before the 4th of July.
Jeez.
And like I'm like, this is from a movie.
Yeah.
You know, like you see this kind of stuff in
Yeah.
movies. They're hanging all the draperies and the red, white, and blue, and like just literally white picket fences and houses. Like I'm like, this place is out of a movie. So if you're ever in San Diego, go to Coronado. It is over a big bridge. There's a lot of traffic because a lot of people are trying to get on this island. It's kind of one way in, one way out, but really cool place. And then I spent a good time with my wife's family, and then we were thinking we were supposed to do like 3 days on the way back. We were going to stop in Tucson and do Tombstone and see that because that would be OK Corral and see all that. Then we're going to head across and do Fort Davis and the McDonald Observatory, like see the stars in West Texas, dark sky area, and then head home. But I'm one of these people when it gets to the end of the vacation.
Yep. I'm right there with you. I know exactly what you're going to say.
I'm ready to get home.
Yep.
The last night we were in San Diego, I was loading up the van, packing suitcases where we literally just had our PJs that we were wearing to bed and an outfit laid out to put on the next day. And we had to throw a couple other things in the van and we were out. So we drove and we're like, honestly, the funny thing is halfway from where we live to San Diego is El Paso, Texas.
Yeah.
The halfway point is still in Texas. That's what I'm talking about. Like anytime you go anywhere in Texas, just the first day is spent getting out of Texas.
Right.
So we stayed a little bit on this side of that. We stayed in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So that's 675 miles from San Diego. Made that in pretty good time. Had some dinner. I wanted to keep going. I told my wife, I'm like, let's just go. I'm like, if we get tired, we can stop. Like, if we get to Midland or Odessa or something and we get tired, or even Fort Davis, we can stop and just find a hotel there and go to sleep. But let's see if we can, because I was just ready to get home.
Right.
And plus, it's like 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not ready to stop driving.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and you still have sunlight.
You still have sunlight.
So when we used to go to Wisconsin, it used to drive me crazy. My dad is going to hear this and he's going to be like, you know. But like we would drive from Wisconsin home and it would be like 6 o'clock. And we would stop in like, I don't know, in the middle of Oklahoma where you're like, we could get home by 11, Dad. Let's go.
You get to.
I'm tired. We're never stopping. But it's like, it's still light outside. Now, I understand now that I'm in my 40s and it is exhausting. But
and she
was
was
when
thinking
you're ready
about,
to get home.
She was thinking about the kids too. And like they had slept a lot on that drive during the day. So it's not like they would have just gone to sleep and slept all night on the road.
Right. That'd have been tough.
I mean, some of them are little. We got 2 6-year-olds and a 5-year-old. Like they would have been tough. So we stayed the night in Las Cruces, but I told her, I said, what we're going to do is when we get to the hotel, we're going to round up, but 8 hours from when we get to the hotel, we're leaving. So by the time we got in, everybody got their showers and we got in bed. It was 9 o'clock. I'm like, all right, we're getting up at 5 a.m. and we're going. And we did. And so, like you say, we hit El Paso, Fort Davis, Pecos, Texas, Balmorhea, beautiful area there. But then you get to like that Midland, Odessa, Abilene.
There's nothing.
But you do realize how close you're getting. Like it's Midland, Odessa, Abilene. There's like Weatherford, and like now we're in Tarrant County, now we're Fort Worth, and now we're on our way home. So we made it in a couple of days. That was about, I think, from Las Cruces home is like 725 or 750, so a little bit longer of a drive, but great time. Kids are road warriors, loved it. I just love them getting to see the country, like you know. And me myself, because I haven't been that way either. I haven't been out west driving. I've flown out there, but I haven't been out west driving. And so, like, this one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life is when you're leaving San Diego, before you get out of California, there's this area called El Centro, and you're coming out of the mountains at that point. Like, you go down this hill, and you see the signs are like 6% grade, 8% grade. I feel like you go down this hill for about 15 or 16 miles, and you're finally getting down to like close to sea level. Like you get as you head into Arizona. Yeah. And there's these rocks that look like the dude from the Fantastic Four.
Really?
Because they're not like regular mountains look. They're like piles of pebbles, but just gigantic boulders and pebbles. And like, it's hard to explain. I took pictures, and then when you drive across, Arizona, we don't have those big saguaro cactus here. Like we have little bunchy bush types, right? But seeing the big, huge, 20-foot tall cacti with like the big arms on them, like the old westerns, like you just kids getting to see that come across, and then you get to New Mexico, there's nothing to see there, but
yeah. And one of the kind of on the same perspective, when we drove from Colorado Springs up to the Black Hills in North Dakota, South Dakota, we were going to Mount Rushmore. Mm-hmm. So as you're driving, I can't remember what that highway is going up from Colorado Springs. It's an interstate going up to Denver. Out your left window, so facing west, literally is the Rocky Mountains.
Right.
And like for me as a history teacher, I'm like thinking, man, those people crossed that on a horse and a buggy.
Yeah.
And so that was a cool experience for me because it was like, man, I can't believe that that's actually like you can't see like it's like you see it in the up. Like I can't imagine too, like you're driving 70, but now imagine you're on a horseback and you're walking towards this and you think it's clouds, and no, it's not clouds. It's literally a mountain range.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
That and the sand dunes are cool.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Did y'all stop at White Sands?
No, that's leaving California. You have sand dunes also, and we saw the border wall. So
was it complete?
Yeah, I mean the whole section we were looking at, because you get stark. You see these sand dunes, and then you have this like rust colored metal wall running around. I'm like, that's. And I told my wife, I was like, "Is that Mexico right there?" And she pulled up to the map. She's like, "Oh yeah, it's right there." And I was like, "Oh, that's the wall."
Interesting.
Everywhere we went, we saw a wall. So I know they have money in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which we're going to talk about, to finish the wall. But like everywhere we drove, like even in El Paso, you go right next to it. It's like interstate, train tracks, wall. And so everywhere we drove, we saw the wall. I'm sure there's places it doesn't exist, but
well, you wouldn't really know.
Every time we drove next to it, we saw it.
Interesting.
Did not get stopped at any border control stations, which I told the kids, I'm like, we're in a big white van. There's a chance they're going to take a look at us. But one cool thing we saw, I'll just keep going on about this, but it kind of comes up in politics, is there were these state troopers in the Tahoes, okay? And they had these antennas coming up with these big like canister things on them.
Right.
And they were going like 55 and 60 in the right lane, just making everybody pass them. Like the speed limit's 70 out there, right? So just making everybody pass them. And I have to think, I don't know, somebody could chime in if they do know, but I have to think that those are scanners, because it was only right along the border sections.
Interesting.
And they're making everybody pass them instead of them passing everybody. And I guess if somebody won't pass them, then they kind of know that's suspicious, because they're only going 55 miles an hour on the interstate.
And they're tailing them.
Yeah, but that's got to be like some type of scanner. When they drive by, they can see like either infrared or something, like how many persons are in the vehicle, if they're sitting in the seats or hiding, kind of thing. That's my guess. It could be totally something else, but that's what I think.
There's a court case against that, by the way. You
know? Oh, really?
That? Yeah.
No.
So 50s, 60s, 70s, they would use thermal imaging on houses to catch people doing heinous acts. I can't remember the court case. I'd have to look it up. But they would point the thermal image at your home to see if there was any heinous actions going on in that home. There's a court case. I'd have to look it up. In the home. They would point at your house.
Come on now.
Do you want to check the levels?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Everything looks good. Yeah, it's been a minute, so we should say like it took me forever to set up for the podcast, because like it's only been a month, but when you do it every week since October.
I'm looking up that court case, by the way. Keelio versus the United States. That's not it. It's longer than that. No, it's not that one. Address the use of thermal imaging established requiring a warrant when gaining information inside the interior of a home.
Okay. So out on the highway, that could have been what they were doing. But if you're going to try to shoot thermal into somebody's house to see who's in there doing what.
I'll never forget when the professor talked about this. And he was like, yeah, so you can't do this in your house. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? So then he talked to this. I don't know. That's why it triggered in my brain.
That's crazy.
So my son, while we've been on this break, has been watching a lot of the Savannah Banana baseball.
I see clips. I looked at tickets because they're going to be here in a couple months.
And it's
stupid expensive.
For
me.
It was expensive, but you have to get into the raffle. Like you can't just buy tickets.
Oh, I didn't even try.
Because it's not through like a Ticketmaster or SeatGeek or whatever. It's through their website and it's sold out.
Yeah.
Like it's sold out like that.
I just saw it, whatever the price was.
But
I said, nope.
It looked like It looks to me kind of like a mixture of a circus and then the Harlem Globetrotters.
I mean, Harlem Globetrotters is a good way to describe it.
Yeah,
right?
and like they're
because it is a sport, but not really.
Yeah, but it's definitely very entertaining.
Yeah,
and like
the umpire will every once in a while just start twerking. Like that's not real baseball.
Well, and they do like a whole dance break and stuff like that. But here's where I think MLB needs to get involved. Like they need to send and have like an exhibition game with them every other, like, hey, they're in town. We're going to play the Savannah Bananas. And like, now I can't imagine a guy like Max Scherzer or Jacob deGrom going up to pitch against the Savannah Bananas.
You got to think about who your pitcher's going to be. And
right.
Like, anytime with those exhibitions too, you're thinking about injuries.
Well, you're probably, I mean, they should play like AAA teams.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And that, to me, that draws interest because then not only are you drawing in the younger crowd, because my son loves it.
Yeah.
Now, he loves going to the Ranger game too, but it's much more entertaining. There's a time limit. The crowd is involved. If a foul ball goes into the stands and they catch it, it's an out, which is very interesting to me. It's kind of, I don't know. I've enjoyed watching it with him because he loves baseball. So, and he's really into it right now. The other thing I thought about while you were gone is, can you still play the percussion ensemble thing that we did in high school?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Do you remember the title of it?
I did one every year, so I don't know which one you're talking about.
It was
They would never. I was actually talking about this 2 or 3 weeks ago with our friend who's the director of percussion at a university and plays the instrument I play. So I play piano, and so we went to a small school to do a percussion ensemble piece. You got to bring in some extra folks. A couple. I don't know. I might have been the only one that didn't play percussion.
Yes, you were the only one in that group.
But because I played piano.
No. Yeah, you're right. You were the only one.
But because I play piano, I can read music like that, and a marimba is a percussion keyboard instrument. So I would play in the percussion ensemble. They would never do that today.
No, absolutely not.
Also, there is 6A school now that are.
Well, I don't even think ours would do that.
Yeah,
they would have you as the pianist in the marching band.
Yeah,
but I played the washboard, the spoons, and one other oddity instrument.
What did we wear? Because I'll remember by that. Was it the Hawaiian shirt one? Or was it different?
No, this was like I think we had overalls. Okay, because it was like a.
That's another thing about percussionists. Like every other group, I also played trombone in the band, right? So every other group is wearing black. You just wear black, black on black on black on black. That's what you wear. Percussion people,
you dress up
colorful. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, we did make it to state.
I'm sending this clip to our friend who's the percussion professor.
Yeah,
we did, and that was the best part. That's why I did it, honestly, because you got to go to state, which was right after school ended in the summer, and down in San Marcos, Texas State,
and they took us to New Braunfels.
And yeah, I mean, it was like. It felt more like a field trip vacation where you had to go also play an instrument for 15 minutes, but the rest of it was just.
Yeah.
But I made it with my other instrument too.
I did not. I didn't read music as well as you did.
Snare drum?
Well, played the quints after you graduated. And then I was on the bass, and then the snare, and then I went to the quints.
I like how you have on here, are there historical events you can't joke about? I want to know what prompted you to put that on the run sheet, but then I just heard one today when I was listening. I was watching a Bill Maher episode today, and he made a joke about 9/11. So what prompted you to put that on there?
So I have 2 people that send me TikToks regular. Well, 3 people that send me TikToks pretty regularly. One is a coaching buddy of mine, and they're absolutely something I want no one to see. Okay. And he listens too, so he'll know exactly who I'm talking about. The other one is my brother, and then the other guy's a coaching buddy of mine, and his are more like basketball based. But my brother sends me some, and like he's 5 years younger than me, and he sent me like 3 in a row that were about 9/11. And like I don't think I'll ever be able to joke about that. Yeah. And I didn't know about the Bill Maher thing, but I don't think that I'll ever be able to have someone tell a joke. Now, I'm not going to like boo this man. Or,
Yeah.
Like, I'm just never going to think that is funny.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I lived through it. And then anytime that there's a space shuttle that crashes, I don't think anything like that is funny.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think it was my brother sent me a TikTok, and it was a joke, and the guy said something about 9/11, and I was like, man, like I don't like it. The joke was funny, it hit, and I was like, that makes me uncomfortable. But I don't think I'm going to be able to joke about it ever.
I would never joke about it, but I do follow the thinking that everything is funny. Daniel Tosh he's obviously a very crude comic, but he has a bit where he's saying basically everything's funny. I can make anything funny. Like, don't think I can make cancer funny? And he tells a joke about cancer and gets the whole crowd to laugh. That kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Today I'm watching Bill Maher, and it's his most recent episode. If you want to go check me on this, I'm not making this up because I'm going to say the joke he said. It's not horrible, but to give an example, but he takes the month of July off. So it was his June 20th, the Bill Maher real-time episode. And he said it's his like 700th episode is also a milestone for him. He's been doing it for like 20 years. And he said a lot has changed in 20 years. He said, maybe not. We're still talking about the Middle East. You know, like we were talking about 20 years ago. He said, but 20 years ago when the Arabs wanted to give us a plane, they sent it to the Pentagon.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny.
So, I mean, in his crowd, he got to laugh at that. And his 20 years removed from 9/11. Like, I just told it on the podcast, but I was quoting. But I'm never going to like make that joke if I'm trying to like make a joke, you know? But
it's weird because it's like, I would imagine that there are atrocities that happen across all of history.
Yeah.
Like Shane Gillis right now he's a real big history buff. And so he tells a lot of jokes and like a lot of them are very funny.
Yeah.
And like, you know, you hear the Anne Frank ones and those things, but I just don't think that I don't like that kind of humor anyway. So I'm not ever going to tune into that.
Yeah.
But it's like now I'm like, man, I just think that is the event that I will never be able to, that I'll never think is funny.
Yeah.
You know,
it was the first major tragedy. I'm trying to think like it was I just started as my freshman year of college. Like I'm trying to think, did anything else happen? Columbine. Yeah. Different. I mean,
those are the two that stick out to me as like kind of like a beginning of like, oh my gosh, there's something outside of this bubble that is.
Well, Columbine was the beginning of, you know, the school stuff. Like that was the beginning of that too. So it kind of, but I can't think of, I mean, Columbia was after that, you know, but that's, for lack of a better way to say it, that had happened before with the Challenger. Like that happens.
And I think maybe the Oklahoma City bombing.
Yeah.
That was in what, 94, 95? So yeah. I just remember my fourth grade teacher reading, and I remember seeing it on the front of her newspaper as she was holding it up in class.
But you think about, you know, Oklahoma City, World Trade Center bombing, like things like that, Columbine, like that, of course, was obviously national news and affected us, but 9/11 changed things.
Everything.
Like, even from just the initial, like, shutting down all air traffic in the United States, like the magnitude of, and now with the TSA and like everything we do with flying, like 9/11, and there are lasting effects from Columbine, but that's also unfortunately happened since then again.
Yeah.
Other bombings have happened since then again, but thankfully there hasn't been another 9/11. Like that is a pivotal moment, I think, in our history, especially the age we were and kind of the coming of age time frame when that happened in our lives.
But that's what triggered that thought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On another light-footed note, before we kind of hop into all the fun stuff that's been happening, Cooper Flagg, my boy. Okay, I'm officially back on the Mavs bandwagon.
That's all it took.
So we have another friend that's an engineer, and when it happened, he literally sent me a text. He was like, "Are you back in?" I'm like, "I'm back in, brother. I'm back on board." And you know, like the Mavericks have made several other moves, and I've really been a little bit more reflective on Nico. I still don't like him. I still don't think the trade of Luka was a good trade. I don't know that I'll ever be on board with that, even though it led to getting us Cooper Flagg. But like even him signing Daniel Gafford, I think that's a great signing. I think that this bringing in D'Angelo Russell, I think that's a big one. I think that if they are able to get Damian Lillard, if they're able to get another type of player like that to come in and play. Now the Western Conference is stacked. Man, it's stacked. And I don't know how we're going to compete early because, you know, Kyrie's out till at least maybe 6 weeks after the earliest 6 weeks after the All-Star break. But yeah, I'm back in. I'm back on board.
100%.
By the way, they play on Thursday, July the 10th, ESPN, 7:00 against Bronny James.
Is that the one in Vegas? I saw that when we were there this last time. I saw
Yeah.
the advertisements for it because we were driving right past the T-Mobile Center where they play.
Yeah. That's where it's at.
And I saw Lakers at Dallas Mavs, and I was like, they must be playing here if they're advertising it here. Why are they playing in July?
Summer League.
Oh.
So it's like when, this is like rookie mini camp kind of. This is going on right now. They go in, they play Summer League games.
So they never stop. They just had the finals,
not really.
You know?
Not really. But the finals are long. Like the finals start at the end of May.
Yeah.
Middle of May, really. And they go until the end of June. So it's a month and a half long playoffs. Maybe even longer than that. I don't know. I haven't looked at that in a while. All right. Are you ready? So Clint and I talked a little bit about like how we kind of want to manage the next couple of episodes versus kind of what we wanted to look at going forward. The first thing before we hop into Trump, we want to kind of talk about, we are a current events podcast. I guess that's kind of how we would define ourselves. And we can't start the podcast without really talking about the Kerrville flooding that's happened in Texas. I updated this at 10:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's now 8:30 at night, and about 5:30 I looked, and it was up to over 100 dead. So if you don't really know what happened, 2 days ago, it's July the 7th. On July the 4th, I guess it was 3 days ago, there was massive flash flooding down in central Texas. Not an uncommon event, but this event was historical. It went from, if you've ever been to the Guadalupe River, I've been a couple of times. It usually sits at about waist deep, and there are deeper parts of it, but it sits between, I would say, somewhere between 1.5 feet and 6 feet.
Yeah, if you're not a Texan, it's a common river that we like to go to tube down. There's the Guadalupe, which is a little more active with rapids and whatnot.
And the Frio River.
And then, the Comal also is a little more chill. We've taken our kids.
Yeah, me too.
When they were younger on down the Comal. But yeah, the Guadalupe, I think there's a couple different, but where this camp was, where these girls were swept away tragically, I think I saw it rose 26 feet in 45 minutes.
So the article that I read in an hour, it went from the graph. It went from a very moderate increase to a stark increase in that hour. So between the hours of 2:30 and 4:30, it rose 48 feet.
Oh my goodness.
And then it crested at something around 60. So that was the peak. I don't know exactly how long it was at that. I disdained people who were making this political.
Oh yes.
I can't stand that.
I expect it, but I have the same. It's
but like,
sick.
Whenever something happens and it's not in our state. So like, for example, we talked a lot about the California wildfires when they were happening. I never once, as this was going on, did I think, man, you know what? They deserve it because that's a Democrat state.
Yeah.
Never once did that even cross my mind. Now, there are policies that we can talk about fire safety and do we need to clean up the underbrush and policies that are in place. But never once, as it's burning through the Palisades, did I think, man, those people deserve it. And I cannot tell you. And sometimes it's just my algorithm, I think, where it's like every other stinking post is someone blaming Trump or blaming Abbott or blaming Chip Roy or blaming. There's no blame in this. And something that I put on here is maybe a hot take, but there's no one to blame for this. Right. So like it came out yesterday, and I know you've been traveling, so I don't know how closely you've been following it. Trump was asked as he was getting on an airplane, and somebody was standing next to him, and I couldn't see who it was. I was watching on my phone, so I couldn't really see who it was. But they asked, does this have anything to do with the cuts that Doge made? Well, no. First off, he said no, it didn't. And second off, they were double staffed because they knew that there was a risk of events. Somewhere between 3 and 6 members were in that National Weather Service office when this happened.
Right.
So kind of the timeline that I put in here is they issued a watch the day before, around 3 to 4 p.m.
I saw the Delkus, who, if you're not from the DFW area, is kind of like a celebrity meteorologist, as sometimes meteorologists will become, said that the first watch was on Tuesday.
So that's about right.
Because this happened early Thursday morning, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But the rain started on Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah.
So 24 hours before, give or take.
Also, like, obviously, I don't live on the banks of the Guadalupe River.
Correct.
But every time where I live, they give
exactly
us a flash flood watch. Like, that gets in one ear and out the other. Like, I'm not concerned about that. That could possibly, we have some creeks that run close to our town. It'll close a road. And I'm smart. I'm like, I'm never, even though I drive a truck, I'm never going to drive through it. I just, like,
Nope, me either.
There's other ways to go, man. Like,
Correct.
you don't have to do it. So, like, that's the only thing that affects us. But obviously.
But I was telling my family, like, think about how many times we go into a tornado watch.
Yeah.
Or how many times are we under a severe thunderstorm warning?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll still go about our daily business.
We'll go out on the porch and look at it.
Because that's what you do, right? And I don't want to negate or minimize the catastrophe that happened. But I would imagine that people who are from that area have lived through some floods. They
Right.
kind of understand what was about to happen.
That's what I was going to get at is when they get that kind of news, it triggers them differently. Like, because they are on the banks of a river. And like you said, they were expecting it. Delkus said that, that when the warning came out and then the word significant was used, which is rare, and then they declared a flash flood emergency.
Yes.
He said, which is extremely rare for a flash flood warning to escalate to a flash flood emergency. But, and I'm not, again, like, they gave out the warnings when they got the data, but it happened so quickly. And I also think, again, no one to blame for this, happening overnight in the wee hours of the morning is what is a major effect of this.
Yeah. Well, and I think
if this came up in the middle of the afternoon.
No way. Yeah, I agree.
You're seeing it,
Well, and you can hear it, you can see it.
Yeah.
You're, and I think too, it's one of those things where it's just a tragedy.
And I'm not going to play. I have a very similar take, but maybe slightly different. As we sit here on July 7th, I'm not at all going to play the blame game. But I do believe in the future, when things settle, it will come out where some things could have been done differently. I was reading about, in 2017, this county tried to implement an early warning system. It was going to cost $50 million. And they have commentary, and like these county commissioners are going to be eating their words of saying, no, I don't think we need to pull money from these other projects for sirens and early warning systems. And so the system they had implemented was the camps further upstream would issue a warning to the camps downstream.
Gotcha.
But, and I'm sure they got people watching too, but in the middle of the night.
Yeah. It's also my understanding. I have a family member that was a fire chief in that area. And I talked to him about it a little bit because he's very familiar with flash flooding. He worked very close on the military base down there, so he's pretty familiar with flash flooding. And if you remember a couple years ago, there were several soldiers that were killed. And so they have monitoring systems on all of those tributary creeks down there. And so those warnings are sent out. I would imagine that someone dropped a ball, but also I read, again, I don't know if this source is complete, and there's a lot of information coming out all at one time, is that cell phone service had gone down because of the storm.
Okay.
So maybe they tried to issue a warning and you couldn't get through. There are multiple firsthand accounts saying we tried to call, no one was answering, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of chaos at the moment.
Yeah.
With the messaging that's coming out. And in fact, it's still raining today down there.
Right. And what I mean by, I'm not going to pass blame here on July 7th, but later things will come out. What I mean is, like, this will be like kind of like we talked about with 9/11. Things will change in the hill country because of this.
100%.
There will be a warning system, if it's paid for by the federal government, local government, state, whatever it may be, that is going to go in. And every single camp, facility, anything on the bank of a river anywhere right now is paying attention to this. Like, change will come. But that doesn't mean, and again, I'm not judging one way or the other. But that doesn't mean that the people in charge did anything different than they knew what to do in
Correct.
this situation, what they had done in the past when they'd gotten these watches and
Correct.
warnings. And like taking a step back and just blaming people or trying to blame Trump for cuts, just trying to use this as an example to get against a political party you don't like, doesn't fix anything, and it makes me sick. Like whatever side, the same thing with the California wildfires, like we talked about with water and their management and things like that. Like we can have that discussion, but like trying to say like, well, especially like what came out about, well, this was just a white rich camp and all these people probably vote. Like I've heard people say all these people probably voted for Trump, so they deserve it because they voted for this. Like,
yes,
no, they didn't vote for the kids to die. Like it's ridiculous, the types of things that are being said, but those people just want clickbait. They just want to advance their name, and that's all they care about. But that makes me sick.
But I think there is a discussion that needs to be had about cloud seeding. I don't know how much you pay attention to this. I put a link in the sheet, and one of the things that I have found interesting is this is one of those conspiracy theory ideas. If you don't know what cloud seeding is, I am not an expert on this.
It was in the new Twisters movie.
It was in the new Twisters movie.
Yeah.
And so the following states all do cloud seeding: California, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Idaho, Wyoming, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. For example, Idaho.
Basically the West.
Basically the West, where there's been droughts over the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the resource authorized cloud seeding from November 1st to April the 30th to enhance snowpack. Okay, so they want it to snow because then the water runoff runs down the mountains and you can have rivers. California, the Santa Ana Watershed Project did cloud seedings from November of 2023 to April of 2027 to increase precipitation in the Santa Ana River watershed. And it goes through a list. I can post this on our Instagram or Facebook or whatever. But the point is I think we this is a topic of discussion for a later date, maybe as we go through this. But there's two ways that you can water or cloud seed. One, you can take humidity from the air and place it back into the earth, basically is how I understand it. And the other one is a chemical compound. You spray a chemical compound in the air, it causes clouds, which then causes rain.
Which is what they did in the Twisters movie.
Yeah, which was, by the way, underrated movie.
It's actually pretty good.
Pretty good movie.
Yeah.
But I just think that as we try to engineer certain things, it concerns me because if we're trying to adjust weather patterns, that's concerning.
Yeah.
So I was also talking to someone about like the droughts that we've been having. So we went down to Central Texas, not too far from this exact area, by the way, a little bit further north, maybe 50 miles. And it's extremely green right now.
Yeah.
They've gotten a lot of rain, which is not uncommon, but they've just been in a drought for the last decade or so.
Yeah.
But this year specifically, it's very green down there. All the rivers are running. And I can't help but wonder if it has to do with this. And it was actually a conversation that I had with someone that we were down there with. Do you think this had to do? And at the time, it was like, no, this is just kind of the normal weather pattern. You know, we have 5-10 years where we don't get a ton of rain, and then we have 5-10 years where we get a lot of rain.
Okay.
And so, I was thinking about this too, like, as you know, I've lived always in this area of Northeast Texas, and it's the same way here. I mean, we've had a relatively cooler summer. I don't even think we've hit 100 degrees yet. But again, that's not that uncommon.
No.
Now,
we'll get there.
We'll get there, and we'll have, 15, 20 days over 100 in a row.
But whenever we're in early June and it starts hitting 100, you know what kind of summer
it's going to be a long summer.
Yeah.
But now we're at July the 7th, and I don't think we've hit 100 degrees yet. In fact,
I've been out of town for a month, so I don't know.
In fact, today, it literally wasn't terrible outside. Like, you could go outside and hang out. But then I also know that 5-10 years ago, it was so hot outside for 100 straight days, it was over 100 degrees,
Yep.
You
know where the weather doesn't change is San Diego.
I bet that was so nice.
If you have a reason to live there and you can get by with California politics, depending on where you land. I know we have some listeners who land very fine with California politics. Man,
Thanks for listening, by the way.
It's like 72, 74 degrees every single day.
Yeah. I remember we went out there when my cousins lived out there.
We were in hoodies and jeans, at nighttime. It's great.
We had some cousins that lived out there, and my uncle was in the Navy. And so we were right there on the ocean. And I remember thinking, okay, we're going to sleep and their windows are open.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be so hot. And
Yeah.
it was not. It was cold.
Yeah.
It was very cold. But I just think that this tragedy is, it just upsets me that people make things political. I mean, like you and I didn't blame Biden for the fires that happened. And I just think that that's something that we gotta get away from that somehow.
Yeah.
It's not always political. Does somebody have a blame? Maybe, but also maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe this was just a catastrophe and it happened.
Yeah. I mean, there are people in charge who make decisions, but it feels like when people make this political and play the blame game that they're saying these people wanted this to happen.
Yeah.
Like, and it's definitely a step too far.
It's 100% not true.
Yeah.
And also, by the way, one of the things that I have enjoyed about the political landscape that is changing is now you're getting actions and consequences for your actions online. Mm-hmm. One of those people that posted something about that worked for a pediatric hospital in Dallas, and she was fired today.
Wow. Because
she was posting about, these people, Trump, MAGA, whatever, voted for this. They deserved what they got, and she was fired.
Yeah, there's no place for that.
And I'm glad that is happening because for so long the keyboard warriors just went unchecked.
Right.
And now you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't because everything is out there.
Yep, for sure. That definitely a tragedy. This is going to sound so bad. So Sunday, I believe the fatality count was like at 68 with about 20 unaccounted for. And I thought to myself, and this is a horrible thing to think, I hope they find those 20. But just being honest, just being real, my thought was at least, okay, so that means 88 is as high as it's going to go. And that's not the case. They found more.
And I would be willing to bet if we were able to look right now, it's probably going to be, my prediction is it'll be over 200.
That is just.
Because there's RV parks that are just obliterated down there.
Yeah, that is incredible.
And it took the whole RV park and it was full to capacity. Mm-hmm. And those are not drawing big news because they're not at a camp.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the children
are the headline drawer.
Yeah.
But there's I read this morning that there were 18 RV encampments right there along the river that are all just gone.
Yeah.
And not everyone got out.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a friend who has a friend who was one of the fatalities from one of the RV camps.
Yeah, it's wild. And you send your kids to a camp like that, you don't expect that.
No. In fact, our kids left today to go to camp.
I was going to ask you about that, but I didn't know.
And one of them is not far from here and definitely nowhere near a flood zone. One of them is right on a river. The name of the camp has river in it.
Right.
And that camp sent out a notice saying, hey, this is where we are. This is how far we are from the river. And we're some 154 feet above the river's flood stage. We are not, we're on a cliff 154 feet above flood level for this river. So, but there were still plenty, with good reason, parents who were concerned, let me really look into this. And of course, staff and people leading our campers were definitely looking into that and making sure that it was a safe thing. And that's something you would never think about.
Yeah. No, I definitely would not. That would not be something that was on the top of my list before today.
Not at all.
All right, so let's talk about Trump. The big, beautiful bill in Iran, I think those are going to be the two big topics for today that we get to. Everything else, I don't know if we're going to end up having time.
We'll sprinkle in. Future episodes.
But one of the things I wanted to talk about is the month that he's had. Just going to kind of go down a quick list. I linked it in there if you want to look as I'm going through and kind of interject as we go. So the last month, I took it from June the 4th to July the 5th. These are just some of the things that have happened. And like I said, we're going to talk a lot about the big, beautiful bill. We're going to talk a lot about Iran. Iran. Is it Iran or Iran?
I say Iran.
Iran,
probably.
All right, so here we go. June the 4th, executive order on immigration restrictions. Basically, he signed a restricting entry of foreign nationals protecting the U.S. from foreign terrorists. President memorandum of regulatory review. The next couple of days, restoring American airspace sovereignty, which was part of the big, beautiful bill. Drone dominance, supersonic flight, cybersecurity enhancements, and Medicaid reform. The Department of Defense and Homeland Security collaborated on the 7th of June. The announcement of the United States and China trade deal. Were you paying attention when that happened?
Mm-hmm.
Anything to add to that? Posts on X indicated that securing agreements despite the 55% tariffs, reflecting negotiation strategy.
Yeah, still stronger for us, which is good. Honestly, Trump came out with such a big swing on socials when it happened. I was like, deal's not signed yet, because it wasn't at the time. And he's saying, hey, you're definitely going to pay more than us. He was like, this big win for us. And, which it was. And, you know, like I say, it is good to have trade with China, whatever you think about that. You usually don't shoot at people you're doing business with.
He then reconciled with his good buddy Elon Musk, which has since changed again.
I know.
That's a soap opera.
And we can interject that, like, Elon wanting to start his own third party. We can do 30 seconds on that because that's one of our smaller topics on here. But I have zero care about that. I think it's going to go nowhere. And here's why. And you can disagree with me. People can disagree with me or have their own opinion. Elon Musk does not have a following, and most people on both sides don't like him for various reasons. He's not likable. Some people really liked him whenever he came on with Trump, but since they've had their feud, now that's gone. And because he came on with Trump, a lot of the people on the left don't like him. So he's not liked on both sides of the aisle, and he's not very popular. And I don't think him, even if he backs candidates, even with a ton of money, is going to come anywhere near the person who could start a third party if they wanted to right now is Donald Trump. He's the one who has the following that could go out and start a third party. Elon Musk does not. I think he'll spend a lot of money, but I don't think we're going to see a Ross Perot candidate in 2028 who's going to take votes away from the Republican candidate. I don't think Elon Musk is going to be successful with his American Party candidates.
Well, dang it, I didn't quick link it, so I can't just click on it and go to it. But I don't think so either, because the platform is just making some adjustments to the political party of the Republicans.
Right.
And so it's loading right now. Come on, 3, 2, 1. And I'm trying to get to come up.
I mean, we don't have to like go deep.
No,
dive
but
into
I
it.
want
just think as a point of content, I just don't think it's going to go anywhere.
So here's the platform that he's running on. Okay. Reduce the debt. We're already trying that. Like, we are trying that. We'll discuss that with the big, beautiful bill. Modernize military with AI and robotics. Again, we are trying that. We just saw that with what happened with Iran. Protect, accelerate win in AI, less regulatory system across the board, but especially in energy. Elon is a big solar guy.
Yeah.
Right. He's big in solar and wind. Free speech. We already have that. And centrist policies everywhere else. That's what Elon posted on X. Let's see, when did he post this? July the 5th. So that was 2 days ago. I just think that, like, we're already trying that. No. And like, I think that let's put our effort into fixing what's wrong with the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Because we're already trending in the direction of all the things that you want. It's just not getting there as fast as you want.
And Elon Musk hasn't shown any ability to get there any faster.
No.
So that's what I mean. Like, he's not going to have a following. To bring this into pop culture, Elon Musk is Drake and Donald Trump is Kendrick Lamar, and Trump won.
Yeah.
That's not saying anything about whether I favor Trump or Elon in any of this, but Trump definitely won that battle, and I think Elon Musk is trying to save face, but he doesn't have a following. He's not going to start a new party. He may start a new party, but it's not going anywhere.
And it'll fall flat.
Yeah.
They're trying to win a couple of seats in the Senate and a couple of seats in the House. I think
and those people are going to caucus with Republicans.
Exactly.
It's like Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat.
No.
But he votes with the Democrats. So these people, who do you think this party is going to caucus with? They're going to caucus with Republicans. So you got the same thing. Like, it's going
potentially
nowhere.
They were saying it was going to be a swing vote. Like, and I'm like, there's no way. In my opinion, there's no way.
The Democrat Party of today, who or anybody who follows that platform, what Democrat policy are they going to vote for? Like, they're not.
Zero.
Democrats are not going to cut debt.
No.
They're going to spend money. Republicans spend money too. I'm not saying they don't, but yeah, no, I ain't worried about it.
Okay. So wildfire prevention and response. Trump signs an executive order empowering common sense wildfire prevention, which we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Again, also something that we're going to talk about with the big beautiful bill. I'm going to keep going back to that because we're going to dive deeper into that.
We're not also just claiming that it's the big beautiful bill. That is its actual legitimate name. It's the OBBBA.
Yeah.
The One Big Beautiful Bill
Okay.
Act. That's its official name.
I always get really uncomfortable when I'm sending BBB to all capitals.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It is. That's its official name. They call it the Big Beautiful Bill. That is its official name enacted by Congress, signed by the president. So,
energy policy based off of several river basins trying to go into hydro energy. Okay, that's also signed by him.
Speaking of that, I saw for the first time.
Hold on, pause.
Yeah.
We're not even halfway through the month of June.
No.
Okay.
I saw for the first time a coal electric plant driving through Arizona.
Interesting.
Have never seen one before. I know they burn coal to make electricity in places. In Texas, I heard it said, I did not fact check this, that we have the most solar and wind electricity generated in Texas, but we also have a lot of water. We have a lot of, there's only one non-man-made lake in the state of Texas. All the rest of our lakes are man-made, and they generate electricity, through water spinning turbines instead of coal heating steam that spins turbines. But I saw a coal-fired plant for the first time.
So the piping system that's in our area in East Texas that connects most of the lakes, all of those are hydroelectric run.
Uh-huh.
So as they push water through that piping system, it creates its own energy.
Yeah.
Okay, we then had the G7 summit in Alberta. Not a ton. Trump did attend, but he did
stand on the front row too.
He did stand on the front row, where Biden did not, if you remember.
I was like fourth row.
Yep, and was very far in the back.
And that counts.
That was a big deal, by the way, when we talked about it. I don't remember if we talked about it.
We did.
But he was not in the front row. He then signed an agreement for terms of a trade framework with the United Kingdom, advancing the trade policy agenda that already existed.
Mm-hmm.
So it just further did that. He delayed the TikTok enforcement extension.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, 3 or 4 days later, I didn't see this, but I read it within this thing as I was researching today, that they have found a buyer.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know anything other than that, who it might be. I'd heard Mr. Beast at one time was interested.
He's got the money.
Boy, he is so rich.
Yeah.
He's rich.
Your kids watch him?
No, just because I find him annoying.
Yeah.
Me personally.
Yeah.
His content's funny and some of it's good, but me personally, I don't particularly like him.
Yeah.
Approval ratings come out on June the 20th with the highest ratings ever within a president as far as that goes. He had net approval rating was up 14 points.
Yeah.
This is according to YouGov, an Economist poll, and then Tyson Group poll had him about the same. Mm-hmm. The Middle East ceasefire announced.
That's before he passed his legislation.
Yes, and that's before he...
Normally, presidents get a good bump. Obama got a huge bump after the ACA was passed.
I know.
They got a huge bump. Normally, they get this huge bump that's before the bill was passed. He got this 14-point bump. That is significant.
And that's before the Middle East ceasefire agreement.
Yeah.
So prior to this, we also have the Iranian war happening. The bombing happens, so on and so forth. And then the announcement of the end of the 12-day war, set to begin late the 23rd, which the president then, for the first time that I can find, dropped the F-bomb on national TV.
Yeah.
The 25th through the 26th, we have the NATO summit, which our boy, we are the official podcast of attire on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And
Zelensky
wore a suit. So I guess he learned his lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thought that would be a topic of news?
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like that was part of a big deal, and it was a nice suit.
Yeah.
And I guess so. I guess he wore one.
Probably heading back to the private sector soon.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
There was some optimism about the legislative. This is on June the 27th, about the trade progress and the agenda coming through. The big, beautiful bill officially gets his name. Energy infrastructure, revocation of the Syria sanctions, continuing push of the big, beautiful bill. Nationwide anti-Trump protests named Free America Also, they changed their name from changed the name from the No Kings protest to now to Free America. And prior to that, it was the Stop the Oligarch, whatever. We didn't really talk about the No Kings protest. I think that actually happened while we were going on. July the 3rd, kickoff to the America 250 celebration. He gives a speech on Iowa Fairgrounds in Des Moines, where he announced that there is going to be a UFC fight.
Did you hear the balloon pop?
No.
Yes.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Did he duck?
No. He said, that's okay. Oh, it was either fireworks or a balloon. You can watch the clip, but I forget what he said. But he went on. He was like, oh, he said something like, oh, don't worry about that. That was just a balloon or fireworks or something. And then he said, oh, and then he goes on because he's Trump. He goes, oh, that could have been my last words. Like, Trump was up there and he was talking and his last words were, don't worry about it. And then boom, gang, he's gone. So yeah, it's a funny clip if you go look it up.
Prior to this, something I missed, the military parade happened early in June, which Trump presided over. We didn't get to talk about this either. It's one of our minor topics. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
I did too.
I thought it was nice.
It wasn't what I expected as far as
what I enjoyed the most were the liberals and the Democrats, what they didn't like, what they found to not like about it. You had your standard, it's fascist, and then which we all know is dumb. Other non-fascist countries, UK, Britain, they do this
all the time.
But the funniest one were the people that, and there was more than one, there was a lot of them that were saying, well, they weren't even marching in step. When the army was marching, like, what do you expect to be like goose stepping down Pennsylvania Avenue or something? Like, come on. Like, you're on the one hand saying it's fascist, but on the other hand, you're mad because they're not marching in step.
Well, and then I saw one commentary guy say, well, how are we supposed to live in the age of stealth whenever these tanks are so loud? Bro, you're watching a tank that was fought in World War II.
Not to mention, are tanks ever stealthy?
I don't know. But when that happened, I just kind of like, that was really a dumb statement.
We're not the official Army podcast. And my father-in-law was in a tank in Desert Storm. I don't know if tanks are ever meant to really be stealthy. They kind of have a lot of corners on them.
Yeah, they're loud.
They're loud.
They make loud noises. All right, then we had July the 4th. We had the a signing of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which we'll talk about here in just a second. Approval ratings jump again after this. He has public sentiment on X. And he, while this is happening, Putin is giving a public speech in Russia somewhere. Mm-hmm. And he pauses his speech and says, somebody walks up behind him and tells him something. And he says, I'm going to have to leave. President Trump is on the phone and I don't want to make him wait any longer than he has to. So you'll have to excuse me. So he excuses himself from the stage. Now, this could be, there could be all kinds of things that go into that, but I don't remember a time where Russian President Putin stopped what he was doing to go answer the phone or admit to answering the phone for a president of the United States.
I'm wondering, I feel like there has to be a reason that he gave the reason he was leaving, because he could just say, I mean, you don't want to say I have to step away because somebody's like, well, what did we just get bombed or something? Like, you don't want people to go to conclusions, right? But I think there's got to be a reason why he said that.
I don't know. It's TBD, to be determined, I think.
Yep.
And that gets us to today. And I just think that I keep waiting for the moment where we're going to have to really bash him. It just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. And also, wherever you land on Trump's agenda, whether you agree with it or not, you cannot argue that he's not being an effective president, accomplishing the agenda that the voters elected him to go do. Like, you can't argue that point, that he's not doing what he was elected to go do. So if you may disagree with policies all day long, but it's like, and I'll read it real quick, like the quote from Van Jones, who is, on Obama's campaign, definitely very liberal, very Democrat. He's on CNN, and they're just bashing Trump for all these petty little things.
Right.
You can go watch the clip. He said it more than once in different ways, but he says, guys, can we cut it out? Donald Trump is not an idiot. Let me just be very clear. Donald Trump is smarter than me you, and all of his critics. This dude is a phenomenon. He is the most powerful human on earth, and in our lifetime, we look like idiots. That's Van Jones, and that's like, you cannot argue that he's not accomplishing his agenda, doing what the voters elected him to go do, whether you agree with it or not. Like, he's had a great first 6 months.
Well,
Not
and I
even
think
yet.
the thing that
Not even 6 months.
the thing that impresses me the most is he is fulfilling his campaign promises. Okay, so this week they withheld a couple of $1 billion from schools in the education reform. I think it was like $6 or $8 billion. Now, when it comes down to each district, it's not that much money. But the point is, like, several people texted me, was like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Well, first off, he said he was going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he said from the get-go that he believes that the state should run their own school system. So why should we expect anything different? That's my first thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is he told us what he was going to do, and now he's doing it, and everyone seems to be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, shame on you, one, for voting or not voting for someone that said they were going to do something, but also, like, we have become an American citizenry that expects so little from the people that we elect and the people that we voted for. They run on these big things and these big, beautiful bills and these big ideas, and none of them are fulfilled.
Right.
None of them.
Yeah.
And again, this happened while you were gone, but Joe Rogan had on Bernie Sanders.
Listen to it.
Okay. And I have been on here before saying, like, some of Bernie Sanders' ideas I really bought into 20 years ago. Like, I thought they were really good ideas. Mm-hmm. Like, let's try. This is about the same time that the Affordable Health Care Act was coming through. Yeah. Bernie had some different ideas of ways that you could manage it that had seen some success in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Well, not
Universal healthcare is one of his agenda items. Yeah.
He's in Massachusetts, right?
No, Vermont. Born in New York, but he's a Vermont senator.
So, like, some of those ideas were really good.
Yeah.
However, he's been in office for 20 years plus and has done nothing. Mm-hmm. And so, like, you now have lost the trust of someone like me who, like, okay, I could really buy into you. And, like, Joe did a very good job. And we're Joe Bros. We've been called that multiple times. But, like, the thing is, and Dave Smith said it, and several other guys have said it, the podcast that I can't remember. He runs the radio station too, and he's on with Andrew Schultz.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Andrew Schultz and him were talking about Charlemagne the God, I think is his name. We're talking about, like, you can't BS something for 3 hours.
Yeah.
You just can't. Mm-mm. And, like, every time Joe would respond back to him, which I've listened to a lot of podcasts, like, not just Joe's, but, like, I've listened to a lot. Mm-hmm. And, like, you can't do this and not get a general idea of what it's all about, which is why the Republican Party is doing a much better job than the Democrats are, because the Democrats don't have an actual foothold on what they want.
They don't have a leader. They don't have a platform. They also don't have a mouthpiece. And I'm not saying that Joe Rogan is the Republican mouthpiece at all. He agrees with a lot.
I don't know what that means.
I'm going to look at it. Hold up. I'll tell you later. It's a software thing.
Okay.
But it's fine. He agrees a lot with Bernie Sanders, supported him as a presidential candidate before Trump. And so he's by no means a mouthpiece of the Republican Party when he's supporting Bernie Sanders and his platform. But the Democrats do not have that long form mouthpiece. They've tried. Michelle's got a podcast. Other people try to get a podcast. It's not
I'm
going.
Trying.
It's not
I'm
going
trying
anywhere.
to listen to that. It's just so bad.
It is. It's just not. They haven't found a way. And Bernie Sanders said this time and time again in that podcast. He said, "Thank you that we can sit down and have a long form conversation and not a 7-second soundbite. We can actually get into this." Because he said, "I'll get questions like, tell me about your thoughts on this," and you got 7 seconds. Go. He's like, "I can't in 7 seconds."
But my problem is he never actually explained anything.
Didn't.
And he kept saying, well, I just don't have an answer for that.
Yeah. What you were saying, I agree with you 100%. Like, he hasn't done anything in all of his time in the Senate. Every time he talked, you said, well, these are all big ideals and these are big things and big things we need to do. And that's all he ever said. These are all big things we need to do. But he never said how he would do it. And Joe pressed him on that.
Yeah.
He said, so he's even said, like, so if you win, if you get elected and you're in office, what are you doing? Like, how are you doing this? And he's like, well, we're going to try. He never gave any answers. He kept just saying, these are big problems. These are real problems. Like, it's a campaign speech, but it's not any action.
Right.
And like, if you listen to it, I have a lot of respect for the guy. I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but I have a lot of respect for him. And he's also a stark reminder. He's a couple years younger than Biden. Like, we compare Biden to Trump and like their health all the time. Like, let me just take the Republican out of it. Let's compare Biden to Bernie Sanders, who's only a couple of years younger and sharp as a tack.
Right.
I may not agree with what the guy says, but he can articulate his position, articulate it, argue it well. So it just is a clear difference of the state that Joe Biden was in, like as compared to someone that's also been in the Senate a long time, like Joe Biden, and is similar to his age. Like, he can articulate his points well, but he never gets to how you're actually going to do it.
Well, he dances around the answers, and I listening to Rogan for the last 8 to 5 years, I feel like he brought him on hoping that he could get to the point of like, okay, I buy into what you're doing.
Yeah, he said he's not going to run though.
Yeah, well, but not that's not my point.
Yeah,
my point is I think Joe doesn't like the Republican Party as a whole. Like, I think he more agrees with what's on the left.
He does.
But it's like you said, there's no mouthpiece.
He's like
there.
A social liberal conservative.
Yeah, that's a great explanation for it.
Yeah.
And the Twitch just brought up about the disinformation stuff where Joe was like, hey, like they sued and Bernie was like, yeah, I just don't like that. I don't like that at all.
I did not agree with Bernie Sanders' take on that.
No, me either.
But I do agree with Rogan's take where he said, yeah, when CNN did that to me, I didn't sue them because I just don't like suing people. But you still have a right to sue someone. And Trump won that CBS Paramount lawsuit. And I've got a clip. I was going to play it, but I'll just send it to you. We can put it up on the socials that gives an example of Kamala Harris's actual answer in the interview and then what they actually played. And
I saw that.
It's not even the same words. They took an answer from elsewhere in the interview and plugged it in after a totally different question.
Yeah.
Like, no, hands down, that's not attacking the media. Like, that's flat out wrong. I don't care who you do it for.
Well, and that literally is what Trump has been talking about is fake news.
Yeah, literally fake news. They literally took a response from somewhere else in the interview and plugged it in after a different question.
And I just think that that totally, again,
we don't do any of that. There's no editing on our podcast.
No editing. I promise you there's none. Because there's been several times. The only thing we might do occasionally is mute something that Kyle says. That's the only thing we might do.
I'll mute some dead air every once in a while, but no,
that was our goal. Like, and I think that part of what we try to do is to try to keep it as unfiltered and as easy to put out as quickly as possible. And if you're editing everything all the time, you can't. First off, it's disingenuous. Second off, if you don't have us clearing our throat or hold on, guys, we got to check something. If that doesn't come up, like even Rogan has that. Yeah. Right? Something goes wrong. They're like, hey, guys, we had a missed thing. We're coming back. And then they come right back. And you can see the jump.
Yeah.
But you've built up a trust in that platform.
And then we're also on the Twitch, which is just live. It's just going out.
It's just going.
Yeah.
And so I think too,
they should do that now for all interviews. Like, just throw it up on Twitch and just put a camera there.
Well, and it's just
give me the edited version later or whatever if you want to change camera angles and do all that stuff and like put graphics up, whatever. But like for all politicians, just give me a live feed and just where you can go in, you have a choice. Let me watch the pretty edited thing on the news, but then I can go to your streaming service over here and I can watch just the live, whenever it happened.
I think that we are seeing that happen live. Literally live. Like C-SPAN now, I don't think I've ever watched C-SPAN as much as I have in the last 2 years because it's available to us.
They put right there.
It's literally a live stream, and sometimes it's just dead air, and it's not fun to watch. And like the vote that they had, you could see, like when they were voting on the big beautiful bill, you could literally see them hustling around in the chambers trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But then I guess we can go ahead and hop into the big beautiful bill because I do want to talk about that. What's his name? Hakeem Jeffries? Is that his name?
Hakeem Jeffries.
Okay.
Yeah.
When he was giving his speech,
the
camera pans, and the only people sitting behind him as he's filibustering are the only people there are sitting right behind him. So like this camera angle, so like this is my camera right here. It's pointed right at me. It would be like right behind me. There's like a big group of people. So like the only camera that picks it up is the one that's right here. And it looks like, oh man, there's a ton of people
Well, they
there.
do the same thing for the rallies.
Right. But then when you go to that camera over there, there's nobody there.
And so when you watch the C-SPAN camera, it's the whole chamber and you can see that.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing ever. So I'll let you lead us into the big beautiful bill.
Yeah, I think there's some. I can talk a lot about kind of the tax policy parts of it. And on the one hand,
Hold on.
yeah,
This is a really good cigar.
let's pause on cigars because I was going to say the same thing. I usually don't finish, but I basically finished this Terra Nova. I'm going to put it in your camera because it's closer. Maybe that'll pick it up. But little small white band. That was a good cigar.
They were a little bit more expensive than I like to spend, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
So this is mine right here, a little purple. They had this was the cheapest that they had in that shop. It was $25 a piece. So $100 for 4 cigars, but it was worth it. I would smoke that again for sure.
Yeah,
it's a long form cigar though. You can't that's not going to be a daily smoker.
No.
Not for my pocketbook anyways, maybe for someone else's.
Yeah, that Terra Nova was good. One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It's kind of like it is huge and monumental, and there are some things that changed, but the biggest chunk of this bill was either making permanent or extending much of what Trump's tax bill in 2017 did. So, if it weren't for this bill, your child tax credit, which right now is at $2,000, the Big Beautiful Bill increased to $2,200. That's not something you should go right home about and change your withholding or anything. It's not a huge change, but it was going to sunset and cut in half and go down to $1,000 per kid. The increased standard deduction, which helps people who don't itemize their deductions, which means they don't have enough property taxes, mortgage interest, and charitable contributions to offset what the standard deduction amount is. Trump doubled the standard deduction, which simplifies a lot of people's tax filings and also gives them a much larger deduction. He added, on top of that, seniors, people 65 years and older, have always had a little bit higher of a standard deduction than just a regular single person or married filing joint couple. But then he added a $6,000 per person standard deduction. So now a couple who is 65 and older used to get, like this year, the standard deduction for a married couple is $30,500. Okay, it goes up every year, so it is adjusted for inflation. Normally, they would get $1,600 per person extra if you're over 65. Okay, that's what it was. A little bit, right? Just a little touch. They still get that, but also now get $6,000 per person. So now a married filing jointly couple who are both over 65, their standard deduction is almost $48,000. The purpose behind that was because Trump wanted to remove Social Security from being taxable. They weren't able to get that through because right now, if you make very little income, like less than $45,000-ish, your Social Security benefits are not taxed if you're receiving Social Security. If you make a little more than that, 50% of them are taxed. If you make over like $80,000 or so, 85% of your Social Security benefits are taxed, which people who are on Social Security hate, that their Social Security benefits are being taxed again whenever they receive them, that you're paying tax on that as income like it was from a job or something,
right,
which it's not. So they weren't able to get that through, but what they were able to do is most people, I think Social Security can start kicking in about 62 unless it's for disability or something different like that. Most people who are 65 are receiving Social Security. So this additional standard deduction is what is meant to offset that. So while Social Security benefits are still taxed, the amount that you would pay at like a 24% tax rate on Social Security benefits, if you're taxed at 85%, you're getting in this additional standard deduction.
Gotcha.
So that's a big deal for seniors. There's a lot of emphasis on.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Which again is something he ran on.
Yes.
Was getting tax relief for senior citizens.
Yes, absolutely.
And is there an age on that? 62, 65? What is considered?
65.
Okay.
Well, for this particular portion of the tax, 65 and older, which has always been 65 on the tax return. The ones who get the additional standard deduction, it's always been those who are 65 and older.
Gotcha.
So Then there's a lot of attention to no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, which we remember back in the campaign, Trump was the first one to say no tax on tips whenever he was in Vegas. And Kamala came out like a week or two later and was like, hey, we're not going to tax tips. Like, where'd you get that idea? I don't know. Maybe she should think about it before, but I doubt it. It was insanely popular. It's not across the board. There is a limit to it. So essentially, for a married couple, both for overtime and tips, the limit is $25,000 worth of income. So if you have $25,000 in tips, that's not taxable. Anything above that is still taxable, like it's always been.
What's the percentage tax after you get over that?
It depends on your individual tax bracket.
Okay.
It comes to you as ordinary income. So,
so
$25,000.
Do you deal with a lot of people that have that amount? That seems like a lot of money to me.
Oh, if you are, I'll tell you this: a nice steakhouse that you go to, I'll say like a Del Frisco's or one of those, like where you're paying, you're not getting out of there for less than $250. Those servers and waiters and waitresses are making six figures.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the majority of that is tips. So they will still be paying tax on their tips.
Okay.
Now, if you're working at the Chili's or Applebee's, especially if that's part-time, this is a huge windfall for you.
Okay.
Like a
and I think that's who that's designed for,
income.
correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So like the Uber driver or the DoorDash guy.
Right. And I hope I don't earn any tips on anything. But I hope they're not disappointed that it's not all tips. Like, I think they were going into this when this passed. We're with some of my family, and my brother-in-law earns overtime, and so he's like, "Oh, this is no tax on overtime, right?" And I was like, "Well, yes, up to $25,000 of overtime." Like, I hope people aren't disappointed that it didn't actually come down as a hatchet to absolutely zero tax on overtime or tips. That would have been incredibly expensive to take all the tax revenue that comes from tip income and overtime income, because some people, like their check is overtime.
Right. People
that work in more manufacturing type jobs, a lot of people work in the restaurant industry, like especially like management and like assistant managers in the restaurant industry, their income, if they're still hourly employees, like their check is overtime.
Right.
Spent 10 years in the restaurant business. When I was coming up through the restaurants, like my salary was like, and my overtime was like, because you're working 70 hours a week. You know, you're working more overtime hours than.
I wish I had, when I had my trucking job, I wish I'd have had overtime, man. But
yeah, it's a big deal. They have accounting firms have tried to pay overtime because we do work big hours some weeks and months of the year. They've tried it. Smaller firms, bigger firms, heck no, everybody's salary. But yeah, so that was a big deal.
Do you think that meets the campaign promise?
That's what I'm saying. I hope that they feel it does. I'm someone who does not get tips or overtime. I hope the people who do look at this and say, this is a huge benefit to us, a huge windfall, and they appreciate it. I hope they don't feel like, well, no, I wouldn't want to pay any. I mean, essentially, if you're like a waiter or waitress, that's like you're not paying any taxes at all. Like, take that person who's making $120,000, $130,000 as a server at a steakhouse.
Yeah. That would be no.
You're making a six-figure income and not paying $1 in taxes.
Seems like a lot.
That's a lot. So, but the people who are, working at the more casual dining, whatever restaurants, Uber drivers, DoorDash, things like that, this will be significant for them.
Okay, so in the restaurant industry, because this is something I wanted to talk about like weeks ago, but we never really got to it, but it does fall into this category. When you are in a place where tips are not normal, so like you go to Starbucks and it's like, hey, would you like a tip to tip this? Is that pre-taxed before it goes? Because obviously it probably goes into a pool and then it's distributed amongst those workers, right? So is that given to them pre-taxed, or is it given to them as a normal tip would be? You see what I'm saying?
No, it goes on there. It goes on your W-2.
Okay.
If you look at your W-2, for anybody at all that gets a W-2, there are boxes on there that if you don't get tips, you don't have any numbers in, but will be like, tip income, also tips that are subject to Social Security tax type of income.
Okay.
There are boxes on everyone's W-2 for tips. It just goes your regular taxable income, just like your box one is your regular wages. Like it goes on there as regular.
Okay.
Regular
That makes
income.
sense.
But that is why, and so when we were in Vegas, what we thought was going to be our last night there, because we thought we were leaving the next morning until we got that message, we took the kids to Blake Shelton's restaurant, Old Red.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
It's like we had great seats too. Like it was like a line out the door, and I was like, I don't know. So I'm with the kids, and my wife walks up. She's like, I'm gonna see if we can get seats. So they set us like right next to the stage at this big high top. I was like, great, that's awesome. And so they have live music, and these are guys that have been picked by Blake Shelton or his people. Like they're good. Like,
yeah, they're getting their legs.
Yeah, it's
their
like
legs. Their work.
Vegas is not Nashville, but it is like Nashville level performers that we've usually seen there. So we like going to the place. They also have huge portions, so we're able to actually get out. But also we
feed your whole gaggle of kids.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you this: they added the regular 18% gratuity automatic on top of our bill. Okay, which was our bill with that was about $300.
Okay.
Okay.
But y'all have 8 people.
Yes. But this waitress, man, she handled every single thing we could possibly need. She brought our kids free. I shouldn't say. Nobody's listening in Vegas. Like free cups for our kids. Like,
right.
And stuff like that. Little cowboy hat on them and stuff. Like she just took care of us above and beyond. She had a lot of kids herself. And so she was like talking to my wife about like what it is to raise a big family, to be a mom. And like she did an amazing job as a worker. And so I gave a substantial additional tip.
Right. On top of the 18.
But I put it in cash.
Gotcha.
Because I wanted her when she came to clean that table to put that in her pocket.
Right.
Because I don't know that this is the case for every restaurant, but in many ways, not every restaurant does this way. Sometimes if that's your check and you get tip on that goes just to you. Some pool, some do lots of other things. Like because kitchen staff also is helping make that come out on time and things like that. So, but that is one reason I will do that cash because I just like that going right in their pocket. You know, that tip on there. Like I'll pay the bill with a card. We pay everything with cards. But a lot of times I hope I don't ever freak out any waiters or waitresses with this. I'll zero the tip and just sign the check for the amount. But I'm putting my cash tip on there because I'll just put that in their pocket.
Right.
Like especially, I don't always do that, but if it was somebody exceptional, I'm like, I don't know if y'all pool tips or not, but I'm going to give you the option to put this in your pocket. So
right.
That's a big deal, the overtime and the tips. That's going to help out a lot of like what we always talk about, helping out the working class family.
Well, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people, the commentaries that I'm hearing on both sides of this who are talking about how this really helps the billionaire, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's because a billionaire doesn't care about $25,000.
That this bill helps the billionaire?
Well, yeah, like there's all these tax credits and things
there are
loops around.
There are some substantial business ones.
But my point, hold on, because I know you're going to hop into that. But my point is the people that are talking about that look at $25,000 as a drop in a hat.
Right.
You and I, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's potentially a salary, right? In my household, that would be an additional salary.
Tax-free.
And so, like, I think that's where the message is being missed.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, not only that, but people who make, I forget what the number is, but it's a few $100,000 a year as a total household income, pay 95% of the taxes in the country. Everybody else pays the 5% left. So if you want to talk about,
if you make 6 figures as a dual,
not
income.
100,000, it's somewhere around like 450.
Okay.
So if you got some pretty good salaries coming in,
right,
that's not a huge like that. You're definitely in the 1%. You're in the less than 1% in this country if you make 450 a year total household income. But everyone's like, oh, we shouldn't give tax breaks to the rich. Like they're paying 95% of the bill.
Right.
Like it's not like everybody's paying they need to pay their fair share. Like Bernie says that. Like how much else do you want them to pay, Bernie? They're paying 95% of the tax bill in the country. Like it's not,
that was something that he did talk about that Joe asked him. And it was very obvious that Joe didn't. I only understand a little bit more tax code because of you and I having conversations. So I kind of understood what Bernie was trying to say.
Yeah.
But I don't remember exactly the phrasing, but it was something like they should pay 90%. And Joe was like, wait, so if you make $100,000, you should pay $90,000 in taxes? And he was like, no. But I understood what Bernie was saying. You have to tax that millionth dollar at 90% because there's different steps that go into that. So anyways, but that was something that I was like, yeah, Joe doesn't fully understand how the tax code works.
Yeah.
In that part of the conversation.
Right. And so a lot of the rest of it is now there is the Trump kids savings accounts. So You give $1,000 tax break for putting back $1,000 if you have a kid and a lot of these sunset after 2028, which is the way tax law works. The thing I want to talk, so I'll put a cap on like what the tax bill did for the taxpayer. And that is like no tax on tips up to a certain amount, up to $25,000, no tax on overtime up to $25,000, increase the child tax credit a little bit. But the biggest thing, and the thing that's like, it's kind of anticlimactic, but it is a huge deal, is making permanent those changes, because we've lived with them since tax year 2018. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, like you've got 8 years under our belt living under this Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that was passed in 2017 in the first Trump administration that we've kind of gotten used to.
Right.
Like it would have been devastating for many lower and middle class people if these tax laws that were passed back then would have been able to sunset, and your child tax credit gets cut in half, your standard deduction gets cut in half. That would have been significantly bad for a lot of lower and middle income people.
Would that have been double, you think? Double the amount of taxes you'd had to pay?
No.
Don't think so? Okay.
No.
I'm just trying to put quantify the amount for a person like me, because I fall in that category.
Yeah. So say your household income is $100,000. Okay. And say your total tax burden, so you get a standard deduction right now of $30,000 because you're married filing jointly. So now your taxable income is down to 70. Okay. And say you pay, it's a progressive system, so I'm going to say 15%. So your tax bill is $10,000 on that.
Whew.
Okay. So your total tax, what needs to be withheld from your paychecks, is roughly, we'll say $10,000. Say you have 3 kids. Well, now you get a $6,000 for dollar tax break. So now your tax bill is down to $4,000. Okay. So now basically on your W-2 withholding, you need to have withheld $1,000 every quarter. Okay. $333 a month needs to come out of your paychecks and go to pay taxes. This is assuming you have no other credits, anything else going on. Just trying to put some numbers. Numbers are never fun on the podcast, but I'm going to do a side by side. So $1,000 a quarter needs to come out of your paychecks, you and your spouse, to pay taxes.
Seems like a lot of money.
I don't know. It's $4,000 a year.
I know, but it just seems like a lot. And
you're making $100,000.
I know, but it's just like, oh, that sounds like a lot of money. You're stressing me out.
That's a 4% tax break.
No, I know.
Because you're making $100,000.
I definitely pay more than that, but I'm just saying.
It's $4,000 a year, 4%. Okay, so now let's take away what this bill extended to make permanent. Your standard deduction would be half, and it would still been adjusted for inflation, so it's $15,000. So now your taxable income is $85,000.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at a same 15% tax break, you've got about $13,000 you owe in taxes instead of the $10,000. But your child tax rate is now only $1,000 for your 3 kids.
Gotcha.
So now you owe $10,000 instead of $4,000 in tax.
So it would have doubled. It would have about
more than doubled.
More than doubled.
So,
well, that's one way to cut the deficit.
Yeah. So, but those people are paying 5% of the bill.
Right. I get you. I
get you. And so that's like just a number side by side comparison. My math, I hope, checks out. But
you explained it in a very, that's a great explanation, because I when I read all this stuff, I don't understand the jargon and the things like that.
Basically this family, nobody wants to pay taxes, but this family who now is going to pay $4,000 in tax every year out of their paychecks, that would have been up to $10,000. They're going to feel that as soon as January 1 hits.
Yeah.
Because it starts coming out of their checks. Right then.
Boy, I'd have been pissed.
less, more than double their taxes are coming out of their checks, and they have less take-home money.
Right.
It is significant. It is anticlimactic because you've been getting this since tax year 2018.
Right.
But it is significant that these things are made permanent.
Right.
Now, the things that are getting the talking points is people are talking about cuts to Medicaid and SNAP. Quick note, Medicaid and Medicare are 2 different things.
Yes.
You see, if you're a W-2 employee, you see Medicare coming out of your paycheck at 1.45%. Okay. Every time you get a paycheck. Medicare is for when you're older.
Right.
When you turn 65, you can get Medicare, and that's you see the Part A, the Part B, the Part D. Part A is hospital, Part B is medical services, Part D is prescriptions. You can get that, but it's basically you're paying into an insurance fund. So when you're 65 and essentially not working anymore because you've retired, that is your insurance because you don't have insurance anymore with your employer.
Correct.
So, but there's copays involved. There's deductibles involved. It's like regular kind of insurance, and it is fully funded by the government through these payroll taxes that everyone pays in as they're working. That's Medicare. Medicaid.
Pause.
Yeah.
Did you see there was a big dispute about a big uproar about that right before the bill passed? About there was a $300 billion slush fund that was being attached to all this.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
And so like there was fraud basically that Doge found on accident.
Yeah.
And it was like 12 to 15 doctors who were all, and it was in the billions. I said 300 billion, but I think that's a little high, but it's still a significant amount of money.
There is a significant amount of Medicare fraud. So essentially Medicare is insurance, but it's government insurance. You pay into it. There's copays, there's deductibles, things like that. But the billing process is wrought with fraud. Medicaid, which is where, and these weren't cuts. We'll get very specific on this. Medicaid is for lower income people. So, and if you're a lower income and over 65, you can be what's called dually eligible, and you can be on Medicare, the insurance fund, and your Medicaid can pay your copays for you. So there is a way to use both. But it is important to make a distinction. Medicaid is for people who are lower income. You can get that today. You could be 35 and be getting Medicaid because you're not working.
Correct.
What this bill did said, if you're able-bodied, you got to go to work. And there's going to be more eligibility checks more often. And so it's not, when the CBO, which is generally nonpartisan, but the Congressional Budget Office who scores and makes the cost of all these tax bills, does lean left, but generally pretty nonpartisan, comes out and says 12 million people are going to lose health insurance because of this bill. Well, if they do, it's because they can go out and get a job.
Right.
And here's how I feel about this, and I'll get off my soapbox and let you comment. I have a marketable skill that a company just like you do, I have degrees just like you do, to have a marketable skill so that I can go work for a company and I can pay a good amount of money for my health insurance.
Right.
But I'm also paying taxes to pay for someone else's health insurance who is also able to go get a marketable skill, go work for a company, and go pay for their own health insurance.
Right.
Like that does need to stop. Like I fully support that 100%. Now, if you cannot work for some reason, then we have this government safety net, which is a whole nother conversation if we should have those or not, that can come and help you. But if you're just sitting on grandma's couch, like this is a bad day for you, and I've got zero problem with that. I'm done. Well, there's other stuff in the bill, but
I don't, there's that is for me. First off, I think we should have social safety nets. I've said that multiple times on the podcast over the last couple 30 episodes that we've had. But I agree with you. The frustrating thing for me is I have 3 kids. You have 6 kids. Between the two of us, that's almost a dozen. Well, it's 9. It's a lot of kids now that I think about it. We have to budget every month. We can't go to Costco and spend $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
We could, but then there are things that we wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah.
So when I get on the socials and I see people hopping in and out of Costco and Walmart and Target and, oh, I can't buy this on my Snap, so I'm going to have to put this on my Amazon, or I can't do this. It frustrates me because, one, where is the accountability?
Mm-hmm.
If you truly need help, then I think we should provide you help.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. From the bottom of my heart, I've seen horrible situations in my career where a family desperately needs a hand up.
Yeah.
And sometimes a hand out. Like they just need help.
Yep.
And there are social safety nets for that. That's what SNAP, all of those programs, CHIPS is another one. It's an insurance for kids. WIC.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm missing another one or two that are out there. That's what those are for. And we need to have those because a lot of times people would lose their livelihood or lose their life if they didn't have them. What I have a problem with is when you get on social media and you post nonstop. And my algorithm, again, my brother sent me a couple, so then it hopped into my algorithm, and now it's like every single one, and I just get angry. I got to turn my phone off. Because, like, you know, there's been at least 5 different ladies, and I'm assuming they're married or have people who they have children with and are also there with them. And they're like, well, my benefits just got cut in half.
Yeah.
Or my benefits are going to be cut in half. I just got a notification.
Yeah.
And they already got $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Whether it's insurance, food,
Mm-hmm.
all these other, like some of them, even the Section 8 housing is going to change as well, which again, it should. If you can't, that is not meant to be a generational thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was having a conversation today with someone about, you know, he has quite a few kids. He has 3 children. He has a wife that stays home, and the same situation as this person. He works a lot, and his overtime is one thing that we were talking about that that is not going to be taxed anymore. And he was excited about that because that's going to be a significant amount of money. And so I asked him, I'm like, hey, have you ever even thought about that? Have you ever even thought about hopping in on seeing if you could even qualify? He was like, no.
Yeah.
Why would I? Like, I wouldn't do that because I feel like that's a thing. But then you see these generational patterns that have to be broken.
Right.
And we talked about early in the podcast, and this hops into what we're going to talk about next with student loans and the change. It takes baby steps to make the public change.
Yeah.
This is a baby step. If you have to work 80 hours in a month, and I even read somewhere that it may be 2 months. I didn't go and look exactly what the bill said, but I'm assuming it's about every 30 days you have to work 80 hours.
Yeah, it's 80 hours a month, which essentially comes out to a 20-hour work week, which
is part-time.
Here's a caveat there. But many businesses, once you hit that 20-hour part-time mark, 20 or 25 hours, will start giving you health benefits.
Right.
So these people may come off of Medicaid and listen to this. The private company they're working for now is providing the health insurance instead of the taxpayer.
Right.
How's that not a win? Well, I know there's going to be mistakes, and I know there's going to be people who still need this, it's a big machine. Like, mistakes are going to be made, like the El Salvadoran dude who got sent back who shouldn't have been sent back, whatever.
Right.
Like, that kind of thing is
Turns
going to
out
happen.
He should have been, though.
I know, right. Yeah. It all comes out in the wash. But like, I know they're going, and I'm not like immune to that, and I don't not feel empathy for those people, and hopefully that gets fixed, and hopefully it gets fixed quickly. Hopefully they have some family, a church, or someone who can help them out when that happens. But at the end of the day, for the most part, across the board, if you lose your Medicaid because of this bill, you should have.
Right.
You are someone who can go out and work like the rest of us.
Right.
And go get a job and pay for your own insurance like we're having to pay for our own insurance.
Well, and I hope this has the whole trickle-down effect. This is my hope in big picture in this particular scenario, that if we see these adjustments happen and we do see more people hop into the workforce, then we will naturally see a drop in insurance premiums and things like that. Like, the state of Texas just gave teachers a pretty big raise. I mean, I was hoping for more, but very, very thankful for what we got. But then we got the email of oh, by the way, here's your insurance premiums for the year, which it didn't go up as much as it has in the past, but it still was an increase. And with a dual teacher income, you see a significant, like, it hurts. And if we hadn't gotten that raise, our district has done a good job over the last decade of making sure that we get at least enough of a raise to cover the insurance costs going up. So they have done a good job of at least managing that.
Leaves you with a net zero.
But at least we didn't lose, right? So I think that I'm hopeful that this will be that trickle down effect, but maybe also break some generational curses to where, okay, no longer can we have Section 8 housing because we have to go to work.
Yeah.
We can afford a little bit of a nicer house.
This is the problem with social media. Like, there's a lot of good things about social media and people being able to share their voice and everything. You're going to see stories about, and you'll see the sob story about this person just lost their insurance and now they don't have insurance. The difference in the social media world, where you see that on social and you don't get any context about that person, versus you hear about so-and-so in your town, or you're talking to someone, like, well, why aren't they working? Like, if it's somebody and you're like, oh, I lost my Medicaid benefits and had to go out and get a job. Okay. I've worked from a very young age,
Right.
every single day.
Yep.
Like I don't not have empathy for those who can't, but there are many, many, many who can and who aren't, because there's this social safety net, these taxpayer dollars that are essentially giving them their cost of living so they don't have to work. And there was some talk about, many rural hospitals, a lot of their business is for patients who have Medicaid because they are low income. Okay. And so there's a $50 billion fund over 5 years that will pay for it's basically a fund to help these hospitals not go under from losing this revenue. The CBO estimated they could lose as much as 12 a year, and this fund is going to pay for 10 a year. So, I don't know. That's still a net, but at the same time, some of these people are going to be going to work, and now their employer, the private company, is going to be paying for their insurance along with them as an employee, which is the way it should be instead of the taxpayer.
Well, and I think that I'm hoping that all comes out in the wash.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that you'll start to see costs. I'm hoping that you'll see costs come down.
Yeah.
Now, you and I may not ever see any of that unless it's just your insurance premium dropping because you have more people contributing to the bigger pool of insurance. We'll see.
Yeah.
But again, it's like what we talked about early in the podcast and early in Trump's presidency. We have to take baby steps to fix a big problem.
Yeah.
And you can't, if you sprint there, like you said, if they had done nothing and like Elon said, like when this first came out and I was like, man, we're adding to the deficit.
Yeah.
Well, maybe now that when it first comes out, my initial reaction is what's going to be what we talk about the Iranian thing here in just a minute was like, hell no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want you to add to the deficit. But then as things start to come through and I'm actually thinking about it and I'm having some time to sit and ponder, but we're also not taking into like the trillions of dollars that are coming in with the tariffs and the trillions of dollars that are coming in with the agreements of building more facilities, which is going to then add to the bigger pool.
Not to mention the tax breaks spur the economy and cause more.
Exactly.
So when the CBO does that scoring, like it is the absolute worst day on Main Street scenario. It is not taking into account business growth and growth for more sales and businesses growing and the economy growing as a result of the tax cuts. Like they never take that into account. It's always the most conservative worst case scenario. You're not going to see these tax cuts add as much to the deficit as the CBO says it's going to. It never does.
Right. Give the CBO acronym.
Congressional Budget Office.
There you go. Somebody on the Twitch asked. Also, the Twitch just said, in addition to current events, can we add Clint's taxes for dummies once a week to podcast?
A whole segment.
Yeah, well, maybe someday. We've actually talked about that. So more
biggest piece of advice is never get your tax advice off TikTok. All those people are crooks and wrong, and none of them hold credentials. So they can say anything they want. If I do, I could lose my license. Right. So I have to say what's actually true. Those guys are like, hey, if you never want to pay any taxes and you want to just get $1 billion of free money, open an LLC. Like, no, it's not some piece. That's
called fraud. We learned about that the other day.
It's called fraud. And if you understate your tax liability by 25%, you will go to prison.
So here's the question. If these people stop receiving government handouts is capitalized, and join the workforce, won't that add to the tax revenue for the country? Yeah, that's kind of what we're saying. Like it adds into the additional bigger pool. So for example, like if you add an additional 2,000 people to Blue Cross Blue Shield, because now they're having to go in, now theoretically Blue Cross Blue Shield would come out and say, okay, we're going to decrease the amount of money that was given.
Not only that, but from the tax base. So the example you gave, somebody getting $5,000 a month in tax assistance, that's $60,000 a year. But that's not just $60,000 in taxes. That's $60,000 in tax money plus all the money it takes to run the bureaucracy. That's why Margaret Thatcher said socialism doesn't work because you can't stand in a bucket and lift yourself up by the handle.
Right.
Like, so you take $60,000 of tax money plus all the money it takes to pay all the salaries of all the bureaucrats running that $60,000 through the big machine before it gets to the person on the street. So that person is now a net, we're just going to add 10 grand to it for fun. So that person is now taking $70,000 out of the system versus they go get a job and now they're paying taxes into the system.
Right. So it's a net increase.
Exactly.
So even though they may be only adding 50,000,
this is going to make people go to work.
Yeah, which we need.
Yeah.
And something that I also saw.
And it's going to stink because some people are out there 30-something years old who never worked a day in their life because you say like it's generational and they're getting like, mama got this assistance and now I'm getting this assistance and this kind of thing. And they're going to have to go and get an entry-level job not making hardly any money at all.
Yeah.
And like that's going to be tough. I'm not immune to that, but at the same time, like you should have had that entry-level job when you were 16.
Yeah. Well, and the argument is
it's going to take a little minute to catch up.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing that I didn't know that was added. It was brought to my attention is the Golden Dome.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know.
I think we already have this. So the person that was telling me this was very excited and has knowledge of this and says we don't have one.
Okay.
But I'm almost positive that we have some sort of missile defense system across the country. But the person is in knowledge and he would know.
I did look into this. I don't know the specifics. We do have missile defense here in the U.S. to shoot down missiles, okay? The Golden Dome is effective in Israel against short-range missiles.
Right.
I don't think Mexico and Canada are shooting stuff at us.
So it's my understanding that these will also be able to take down hypersonic missiles and intergalactic missiles. But
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Hypersonic missiles.
I don't either.
But
it's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool.
I'm not going to lie. It's kind of cool.
I feel like this is one of those things. I kind of hope.
This to me is one of those.
If it is doable, do it.
Yeah.
Spend the money and do it. If it's not actually doable, it's just kind of one of them things. You're like,
yeah. It's one of those Trumpisms.
It's one of them Trump things that like,
when Trump says Trump things, we're going to build the spacecraft.
Yeah.
We're going to build the Golden Dome.
Yeah, of course it's a Golden Dome because everything he touches is gold. But if it's one of those things that's not really doable, like, I don't know, I'm not the expert, right? Obviously. Then don't spend all your money on it. Save that money. Like, don't spend $50 billion and not get it.
So another thing.
Or spend 50 and be like, now we need another 100.
To maintain it. We're going to spend 50 to build it and then 100 billion.
I think there's a lot of ways to keep people from shooting missiles at us that don't involve that.
I don't know.
I
don't either.
I'm not the expert.
So the other
when
thing,
I saw it, I'm not like super excited about it.
I wasn't excited about it, but it was just like, man, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But then I was like, it's
that was a West Wing episode also. Leo McGarry, the president's chief of staff, is like huge on this missile defense system and really wants it to get through. And like, he just gets no traction. Like the president's like, no, it doesn't. And it even shows in one episode, he goes to a test of it and it's like, he's down in the Situation Room and they're trying to intercept a missile with it. And like, it misses it by like what he thinks is a little bit. It like misses it by like 200 miles or something. And like, still doesn't work. You know, like that's a good West Wing episode. And maybe that's why I feel the way I feel about it. Cause I watch the West Wing a bunch and remember.
To me, that seems like more of a, if your enemy is shooting directly at you kind of situation.
Like it's cool to watch in Israel.
It's cool.
But they have everybody around them hates them.
Yeah. It also, have you seen the meme where it's like,
but somebody just said like Israel's got a Golden Dome. We need a Golden Dome.
No, an Iron Dome. They have an Iron Dome.
They have an Iron, right.
And we have a Golden Dome.
We need a Golden Dome. No, we don't. We're not in.
We actually need a Platinum Dome.
It's got to be better.
Yeah, it's got to be better. Made by American Steel.
Yeah.
Oh, we digress.
An actual dome.
Yeah, we just need to build the Truman Show over our entire country. So the other thing it does is it caps student loan amounts given out. So one of the problems that you and I had quite a discussion about early in the podcast is student loans and how they're going to fix this huge problem that we have with student loans. First off, I did not know that there was not a cap on the amount of student loans that can be given from a federal level. You can never be denied until now. So now there's some language in the bill. It says somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000. Now, for your general degree, a master's degree, from a somewhat reputable school, about $100,000 will get you all the way to a master's degree in loans if you're going to have to take that amount out. But one of the things that I found interesting is that the medical schools and the law schools are actually really, really freaking out. So how this will work is you will basically be given a cap. To each university will be given a cap based on whatever program you're in. Okay. So like, let's use an example. If you're going in to get an education, the government will say, okay, that costs about this amount. We will loan you this amount and it will not go any higher. Now, if you're going to medical school, it appears that it would go a little bit higher. I'm trying to find the article here.
I did see that. Yeah. But also like, I'll interject a personal story. So, when
give me a chance to pull that up.
We were 3 of our kids are adopted, and we adopted them through foster care. And so our first daughter that we adopted, I remember you have a lot of court dates when you're fostering, and we were in court one time, and our daughter's biological mom was saying, well, I lost my job because I didn't have a car and I didn't go to work. And so the judge, who I'm very thankful for, asked the question, well, where do you live? Here. Where's your job? It's like 3 blocks away. And this judge said, I didn't have a vehicle when I was in law school and I worked and I had to walk to work and I had to walk to class. And this judge is just ripping this mom, basically a new one, saying like, listen, I did what it needed to take. And I'm telling you, you need to do these things to get your daughter back and you're not willing to do them. Like, so I do know that you can go to medical school and law school and work.
Right.
Because I had a judge who made a very big point about the impact of having to work and just get done what needs to get done. So it may make a change. May not be able to go medical school and just do just loans all the way through and not work.
Well, and I think too, like it'll crush that private sector. So one of the things that this article that I found is it put into perspective for me, because something I didn't even realize, I guess, but the amount of schools that have student loans in default, it's mainly 5 schools. Okay. So the 5 schools were, if you pay any attention in the college world, you'll know these ones. University of Phoenix, the default rate was over 80%.
But they'll give you a degree for anything.
I know. And it's an accredited school, Grand Canyon University.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing. These all online schools.
All online schools. University of Phoenix. That there was a similar one that's
Western
apparently.
New Hampshire?
No, it was in California. I don't remember the exact name. Then there was another
Governors
one.
University. That's
Which
another.
one?
Governors. That's another all online.
I can't remember, but there were the 2 that I specifically remember were Grand Canyon. The Phoenix University. Yeah. Those were the 2 that really stuck out because they were over an 80% default rate. Oh. And so like what they were saying is the average student on campus already starts with a significant amount. It was over $250,000 in student loan debt on average. So that tells you that if you're already going to school there, so they were saying like they could lose their accreditation based on whatever programs they have. Well, and that was kind of part of the problem, right? Now, the thing that was interesting, though, that I found, one of them was like Wilshire Law School up in Massachusetts, which was the amount of student loans that these students owed was well over $400,000. That just tells you that is way too expensive. That's the first thing. But the thing that I found interesting is the top 5 schools that had a net positive were all public institutions.
Of course.
The University of Texas was one of them.
Okay.
USC was
still expensive.
It's still expensive.
Yeah.
But it was a net positive on the amount of loans that you were able to take out versus the was one of the hold on. So this person says the Grand Canyon University buys our staff pizza every year. And yes, I've seen it. Like I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. And it was literally number 2. Phoenix was 1. Grand Canyon University was number 2. I think I shared this on our Facebook, this article on our Facebook. But it was interesting to me that they were all public institutions and not ones that you would think that, like the University of Florida was 1, University of Texas was 1, USC was 1, there was 1 in Washington, and then there was 1 up in like New York. It wasn't NYU, but it was in that general vicinity. So it wasn't geographically close.
Mm-mm.
Does that make sense? So it
Yeah.
wasn't like Texas, somewhere all of them were all in Texas.
Yeah.
They were all geographically spread apart, which I found very interesting. It was not a topic in the article,
Mhm.
but I found that was something that, okay, I think the point that I was trying to get from it, or that I got from it, was that these universities are all reachable by the entire United States.
Uh-huh.
But the thing that I did find interesting is those online universities that were strictly online, I found it interesting that the amount of money owed was significantly higher
Mhm.
than any of the others. So it went
Which
like
is crazy.
the top 5.
These
were-
schools, you're not paying room and board.
You're not, but they still would give you the full loan amount.
Yeah.
So like, let's say you only have to pay $10,000 for tuition. That's all you have to pay, but then they give you
Money to live on.
$50,000
Yeah.
because you're living off of, you have living expenses. So you have $200,000 in student loan debt when it only costs you maybe $40,000 to go to school.
Whew.
I'm just ballparking numbers.
I think that's a really good approach to fixing it.
Yes. And so my point in saying this is yeah, medical schools are freaking out because they're going to have to cap the amount of money. Okay. And they're worried that it's going to create this demographic separation of, well, you're only going to have uber rich, white kids going to be doctors and
Are there still
lawyers and
no
things like
do scholarships like
It-
not exist?
that was kind of my point.
Yeah.
But like the thing is it fixes the issue with like a Harvard. Remember when Trump was going
Mhm.
after their endowment?
Yep.
Okay, now you can't charge people $500,000 to go to school here. And I'm not saying Harvard charges that, but it does put more accountability
Mhm.
back on the university to produce equitable students that leave your campus and say, okay, when you leave here, you have to have a net gain.
Yeah. I did like how they were also going to, I read, basically judge universities on the types of degrees they were putting out.
Yes.
And like, hey, if you want to give somebody, like, I use this example of somebody this past week. Like, you have people going to school to become teachers and nurses and accountants and even lawyers and doctors, and they're going to be able to earn an income that is a marketable skill that someone is going to pay them and hire them to go do. If somebody really loves French and wants to go get a degree in French, like, you can get a job doing that.
Right.
There's far fewer jobs you can get doing that. And so one of the things, I'm sure you said the same thing to your kids, but one of the things I've told our kids is like, you can really be anything you want to be. Like, we're going to have conversations about that. I'm going to coach you through that. But if you go to college, and that is an if, it's not a certainty. You don't
Right.
have to.
Right.
You're going to get a degree in something you can earn a living in.
Right.
Like, we're not going to, I'm not going to like just throw anything out there, but like, there are certain degrees you can go get, but your ability to get a job with that degree is really small. You need to know that going in. And so don't
Right.
go spend $300,000 on an education to get a degree in something you may not be able to get a job in. It may wind up just working and doing something else.
Right. And that was something too. Like, I think you're going to see, again, hold on. I got to frame my thought. You are already seeing a push away from the universities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because of the cost, because of the student loan problem that we currently have. And like we said with Medicaid, this is a baby step to fix that problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Also rolled out within this bill is the new buyback program. We haven't had a chance to talk about this. I can't remember if I'd mentioned it to you or not, but basically with all of the movement of student loans from W. Bush to Obama, then to Trump, then to Biden, and now back to Trump, a lot of times the counts that they had get lost in the jumble. Because when Obama was president, this company owned the loans. Well, then when Trump came in, they were sold to another company or the government took them back.
Mm-hmm.
And you may lose 6 months worth of counts as far as your student loan forgiveness, specifically if you're in the public service sector.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for example, like I know someone that lost 12 months of count because there was just a lag in the system.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're able to go back and apply and say, hey, I was here. Here's the documentation. There was no, and they're calling a buyback, but if they go back and they look at your counts and they say, hey, yeah, you actually did meet your requirement here, boom, it's gone.
Mm.
Because now they're being held, now there's an accountability system
Right.
for them to account for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I think you're going to see an adjustment happen, but not only that, people who are now sending kids to college, people who are sending kids to college were in that same boat.
Yeah.
And it's like I've said before, if my parents knew the effect that student loans would have had, they would have never have put me in the boat. They would have never even suggested it because they didn't know. They didn't know what they didn't know. Well, now I know. And I have told all 3 of my kids, if you have to take out a loan, that's on you. Make sure you understand what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
We actually had a meeting for my daughter today, and we went, and her and my wife went and sat down with a lady, which she had a mask on and had rain and had the room dark. And yeah, that's a whole off topic, but that's a whole off the microphone conversation we can have later. But anyways,
we just told our listeners we don't have off the microphone conversation.
Well, I'm probably not going to be so PC in that conversation. But anyways, my point in saying that is we have conversations now because I know what I know.
Yeah.
And I know the boat that I'm in and the hoops that I've had to jump through to make sure that my family is secure. And I'm trying to make sure that she's in a better position and they are in better positions than what I am.
Right.
Okay. And I think that is the transition you're going to see.
Yep.
Okay. You're still going to have the kid that goes to school and blows money. You're always going to have that because 18-year-old kids make 18-year-old decisions and don't have a fully formed brain yet. But you're also going to see less going, hopefully, and just blowing through hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it goes even back to just the debt conversation in general. Like, what people should realize is, and if you don't have generational wealth behind you and you're not going to win the lottery, your number one way to become a millionaire is through your income.
Right.
And for many people, the number one thing that sucks away from their income outside of their house is a student loan.
Right.
And so that is the number one thing, because you have to have a house, number one thing that's going to keep you from financial security, financial stability, and maybe even one day becoming a millionaire just from like the top professions for millionaires. A lot of them, like teachers and accountants, are the top 5.
Right.
Like it's a thing.
Yeah. So I think that this is another baby step to fixing the bigger issue.
Yeah.
So we have an issue with
I
social
like
programs.
the approach.
Yeah, and I like both of the approaches, and these are 2 big things that we've talked about. I've been like listening back to some of the things that we've talked about while we've been off, just to make sure my brain was fresh on what we have and what we haven't talked about. And one of the things that we've discussed many times is that we have to fix the social programs issue. Okay, Medicaid, that's a baby step in fixing that. Fixing Section 8 housing and ETB, that's a baby step to fixing a bigger issue. This is a huge issue for our country.
Yep.
And this is a baby step in the correct direction of fixing a problem that we have been having huge issues with. The other issue is the insurance, right? And so hopefully this has a trickle-down effect to fix that issue. One more thing that I've really talked about, I'm not going to, I'll let you read the Twitch if you want to, but I can't put that on the... it says, I can't believe we don't have more need for degrees in programs of underwater basket weaving. Yeah, we don't have, unbelievably or not, believe it or not, there are degrees in basket weaving that you can get. I'm not going to say the other word. That this was not a bot. This was actually said on there, but so the death tax.
Yeah.
So one of the podcasts that I listens to is a guy from like the Midwest, and it's called the Don't You Know podcast. I don't know if you've listened to this guy, but he's from like Iowa, Wisconsin area. And one of the things that he's really talked about a lot lately is the death tax and how farmers are having to are passing away, and the amount of taxes that they have to pay is literally taking these family farms away from the families. And
if you watch Yellowstone, you saw this.
And giving and having to sell them to big conglomerates in some cases, or other types of companies. So first off, do you know about the death tax?
Yeah. It doesn't affect most people.
Does the big, beautiful bill help, hurt, or indifference?
It increased it, but here's what you got to understand. It increased, it was like 24 million. Now it's like 30. It's 15 per person. So what the death tax is when you pass away, to pass on your estate to your heirs, you pay a tax on that. If it's used to be more than 24, 25 million, Now it's 30. So you've got to have 30 million in assets, which farms come into account for that. That's
when
why
you're talking about thousands or hundreds of thousands of acres.
That's why it's a big deal for them. Like that is an asset worth a lot of money. It's like they're cash poor and dirt rich.
Right.
You know, it's like they don't have a lot of cash in the bank, but they're rich in the dirt that they own because the land is valuable. But if you have less in that in assets, you don't need to worry about the estate tax is what it's actually called. People call it the death tax because you pay it when you die, but its technical name is the estate tax.
Okay.
And everybody, no, I'm not going to get into that. Never mind.
I'm curious though. It just, to me, that sounds like something that's a rich person problem.
It is. But you dirt rich, not necessarily cash rich when in the case of the farmer. But yeah, it is definitely, nobody worries about the estate tax, death tax, unless you've got millions to pass on to your heirs.
Okay, so it doesn't help the person who has a couple $100,000.
You don't need to worry about it.
Gotcha. Anything else from the big, beautiful bill?
No, we've gone 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Do we want to hop into the Iranian conflict?
We can.
Okay. I'm getting tired. We've really been going 2 hours and 20 minutes?
Probably split this into a couple episodes.
Okay, so let's pause. That's what I put that pause in there for you so you can mark it. And let's hop into the Iranian one. Okay, I first want to talk about, I mean, there's not a ton to talk about, but we can kind of go there. About 2 weeks before this happened, there was an article put out by CBS News talking about how Pete Hegseth had limited the scope of where the media and journalists could go in the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently during Trump's first presidency and then into the Biden presidency, they were pretty much allowed carte blanche anywhere in the Pentagon, according to this CBS News article. I posted this on our Facebook page when this came out, and this was prior to the Iranian conflict, and something that I found very interesting. And I didn't know this. It's something that I had assumed that they didn't allow news journalists and certain journalists everywhere in the Pentagon. I just assumed that they weren't allowed.
Yeah.
So he was writing this article about free speech and how they should be allowed to go into pretty much wherever they wanted. But since Pete Hegseth had taken over, that they had really been only put into the journalist pool area where they weren't really allowed to go anywhere and everywhere they wanted. Okay, first off, I don't think they should be. I think they should be. There's lots of things that are talked about at the Pentagon that even a Pentagon journalist doesn't need to know about.
Honestly, they just need to get invited to the Signal chat and they can find out whatever they want, right?
But I think that was one of the things that, as it came out, as the Iranian conflict starts to come back, kept coming back to my mind. Oh, there we go. I know the people on the Twitch can't hear that, but we got ourselves a
sound effects
in there.
Awesome.
That caught me off guard. It kind of scared me. I'm not gonna lie. Somebody walked in behind me. But this kept coming to my mind because, one, everything that the media was putting out about the conflict as it's happening, first off, was obviously, hindsight being 2020, was coming directly from Pete Hegseth. Okay. So when we first hear about what's happening, Trump had done his Middle East tour. He'd gone to all of the countries with the exception of Iran. He didn't go there. I think, this is just my personal opinion, I think he was going over there to visit and say, hey, if this comes to this, here's what we're thinking. Hegseth was with him. Rubio was with him on that specific trip. They made lots of public appearances. There was a big, carpet rollout. They put out purple carpet for Trump and all this stuff. And there was a lot of pomp and circumstance that went into that trip. We talked about it. We didn't dive deep into it, but we did discuss it. And I can't help but wonder now that we're removed from it, if Trump first off got the approval, not the approval, but was like, hey, if it comes to this, where are your limits?
Yeah.
We know what ours are. We need to know where you are. UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey was involved. I know he met with Pakistan and India, like all of those players in the Middle East, Egypt, Iraq, Yemen, all of those guys were involved in these conversations. So what are your limits? That's the first thing. The next thing is we also talked about how they had moved all the bombers from Diego Garcia, which was a fact. You saw them being moved.
Send them home. We said, like,
we talked about this.
The 6 bombers who were there came home. This looks like we're probably not going to war with Iran. Okay.
So the day before the attack happens, I have a friend who works in the general vicinity of where the B-2 bombers were at. He said, man, they're all going west. He was like, I don't know. They're all going west. He doesn't work on the military base, but you can see him take off. Very, very public in that area. Obviously, it's not on the news because, like, it's in the middle of a cornfield, essentially. But he was like, yeah, they're all going west. And that was public knowledge. Okay, so it happens in the dead of night. They take off. They perform this fantastic military exercise. What was the name of it? Do you remember?
Midnight Hammer.
There we go. Great name, by the way.
Good name.
By the way.
Names matter.
By the way, this company, Nine Line, has a shirt that says hammer, whatever. They ended up bombing 3 nuclear sites early when it first happened. It did not seem that they got everything. Obviously, we are a couple of weeks removed now, but it appears that they did completely obliterate at least 2 of the sites, possibly all 3 of them are completely destroyed.
Which was interesting. The Bill Maher episode today happened before this, June 20th.
Gotcha.
And he was saying, like, Bill Maher was saying, like, they're crazy for thinking they can do this. They're trying to attack a mountain. You can't go bomb a mountain. Well, buddy, they did. Well, he made the joke. He said, unless you're Tom Cruise making the Top Gun Maverick, because that's the exact same thing they did in that movie.
Well, okay. I don't want to hop too far into that.
It is fun to watch things that happened earlier.
Right.
Especially in the political sphere, and things are happening so quickly.
Right.
To see people's takes on things, and then they actually happen and you see.
And I think that as this is happening, my initial thought was, man, if we were recording right now, I would be bashing this. Because I do not want to go to war. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's best for the country. I think we need to stay out of being the world police. However, I don't think Iran should have nuclear weapons either. So, but I don't want boots on the ground. So it's like a catch-22. Like, if we're going to do something, this is what I think we should do. Okay. As I'm reading through all of what's happening and it's kind of coming out, then Trump makes the announcement. There's going to be a big announcement after it happens. And it's him, J.D. Vance, Rubio, and Hegseth. Then I put the notes on there. Rubio looked terrified in that. And he looked like...
He's got a very somber face.
He very somber. With, yeah, and it was like, Hegseth is like...
smile a whole lot.
Hegseth wanted to smile.
Yeah.
J.D. Vance...
Yeah, his guys.
He wanted to smile.
J.D. Vance, soldier.
Rubio looked like he had just seen something that he wished he hadn't seen.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, that's just the appearance of...
Body language, yeah.
Body language. Trump looked like he had to do what he had to do. I don't think he felt positive or negative, but you could definitely tell that Hegseth and Vance were ready to go to war right then. Now, I'm not saying literal war, but they looked like they were ready to fight someone. The next day or two, Iran notified everyone involved that they were going to fire 12 missiles.
Which is so strange.
At Qatar. It was the exact same that they dropped.
Yeah.
So I think it was 12.
Yeah. They
fired 12 missiles at the Qatar base. None of them actually hit. No. They were fired at. All of them fell short.
Yeah.
Okay. And then immediately, within 24 hours, Israel and Iran signed a ceasefire.
You know what's interesting about that? I just have a theory, and maybe somebody knows more about this. They can comment. But why did Iran say, hey, tell everybody, hey, we're going to fire 12 missiles over here at Qatar or Qatar, and just tell everybody about it? Because, like, that doesn't do anything for them, because they know, like, hey, these are going to fall short. We're not going to hit anything. We're just going to fire 12 missiles. That's our response. They have state-controlled media and TV.
Right.
So the Iranian people just know that their government fought back.
Right.
And also fired 12 missiles at a base. And they could tell their people, it was successful and they hit things and they could show them fake footage, you know,
Right.
like the fake picture of the F-35. They said that they shut down, and then you see the scale of the people next to it.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a
That's
really big F-35, you know, but they can show all that to their people, and they're none the wiser, and they can think, oh yeah, the U.S. came over here and bombed us. We bombed them back, and they can tell their people these things, and their people are none the wiser because they don't have social media.
Well,
they only have state control TV.
And as the Twitch pointed out, they did the same thing when Trump killed
Soleimani, yeah.
Okay, so it was a coordinated response.
Yeah.
Which I hadn't thought about it like that. I guess the state-run media can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and if you are somebody who has like black market access to social media and can know what actually happened, no one's going to listen to you.
No, not there.
Yeah.
And so it's a save face type situation.
Exactly.
And I think that when Netanyahu then fired missiles back over him, and Trump did drop the F-bomb because he's like, they've been fighting for so long, they don't know what the F they're fighting for.
Yeah.
And he's not wrong
No.
in saying that, both from Iran and Israel's state.
And I like that he's frustrated by that. And
he showed it. I like that he was frustrated and he showed it.
And I like the response to Iran, because something Wesley Hunt said, who's a Texas congressman, 38th district in Texas, who was on the Bill Maher episode I watched, is he said, if Cheney were still running things, we'd already have boots on the ground in Iran. That's the difference.
He's correct.
He is. And
And I just think that too, like the day or so after Hegseth gets into the Pentagon and he comes up and he has the military, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, the planner and the general that was with him, and he gives a very, very detailed about that. And at the end of the thing, he says, congratulations to the boys and bombers.
yeah.
And Hegseth says that. And the media loses their ever-loving mind over that, because one of the bombers was a female.
Yeah.
But the point is that's not what that was meant to be. You're politicizing something that didn't need to be politicized.
I liked his response to it. He basically made fun of the reporter for asking the question.
Yeah, he's like, no.
Support that 100%.
Yeah. So in conclusion, this would have been a much bigger topic of conversation had we been able to talk about it in real time.
Had some time to digest.
But I think that now that we've been removed from it, it's almost like just a blip on the radar, which is odd.
Mm-hmm.
It's so odd. It's so odd. And it's been interesting to watch as the media cycle continues. It's gotten real quiet over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what's happening? Because that's not how it's always been, right? We expect some sort of a response in some form or fashion, and you just keep waiting, and it's like, I don't think it's going to happen. I hope I'm right.
That's Bill Maher, and he had Paul Begala, who was an Obama advisor and a Clinton advisor, were just eviscerating Trump for the Iran deal. And Paul Begala was like, you cannot bomb them. You cannot do this. We cannot do that. There are other diplomatic options available, and like all these things. Like, now to see the aftermath of Trump, a very targeted approach, a very effective approach, one that created peace and no boots on the ground. Like, he took care of the mission, did what he was supposed to do. Like, it is very hard to find fault with that.
Right.
And so I think that's why they moved on to the big, beautiful bill, and they're attacking the Medicaid cuts, and we'll see how that comes out in the wash. But like you say, like, there's not a lot of chatter about it, because it's like, what are you going to say? Like, you could say a lot before it happened.
Right.
You know, and you could say, like, in doomsday and all this kind of stuff, of what Trump ran on no wars, and now apparently he's got us in a war. Like,
right.
Bill Maher said that exact thing.
Right.
Like, but now in the aftermath, it's like, you really can't say anything.
No.
Because now you look at what's actually happened, what's come out in the wash. We have some time elapse. I don't know what that was, but you just can't really argue against, like, what would you have done differently? Like, what can you find that you wouldn't have done in that case?
And the Twitch brings out my next point. Everyone was so caught off guard by what happened that countries like Russia and China, you literally pulled off something where, and I for people who, and this is something that I think helps you and I, because we've traveled a lot, you get the scale of how big the United States is, right? I've been to central Missouri and Nebraska where these planes took off, and I've flown from Dallas to New York and Dallas to California. They took off in Missouri, flew nonstop across the globe, through enemy territory.
Yeah.
And no one knew they were there.
Nope.
That's including the Russians and the Chinese.
Yep.
No
one knew it happened until we told them it happened.
And that's wild to think about.
It's like Trump, in his best Trump voice, said, and I love it, you know, praising the military. Like they see Hegseth looking there proud, ready to go fight. J.D. Vance, veteran, ready to go fight. Like saying, like, no one else could have done this.
Yeah.
We're the only country that could have done it, and we did it. Pay attention. Like, Trump's not going to sit on his hands whenever he needs to take action. He's going to do it in the best way.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying like everything's going to go great from now on. I'm just saying in this specific thing we're talking about, I can't find fault like with what should have been done differently. It was exactly what should have been done, and it was successful. And you've got to just give praise where praise is due. And like, you've got to be a patriotic American and say, like, whatever you think about Trump, whether you voted for him or not, agree with his policies or not, like, this was a good thing.
Yeah.
Of what was done and what our military did. And if you don't want to praise Trump, just praise the military and what they did and what they accomplished, because it was a fantastic feat that no other country could have done.
So the other thing that I kind of found interesting, and somehow I get on these, because I'm off of school, that's the way, and I have a lot more time on my hands to just kind of look at monotonous stuff. I get on this Reddit, and it's like, so somebody on some Reddit that I read theorized that we may have used a new B-20, or because it was the B-2 bombers, the stealth ones, but there's also a new one,
B-21,
and they theorized that we used those.
Oh.
Which is undetectable by radar.
Well, so is a B-2.
But it's a different, I don't know. I don't know the specs about it, but it's like, man, if that's really what happened.
I feel like people would have noticed those taken off because they're smaller and they look a little different.
Yeah, and he did give him 60 days, and they bombed him on 61.
Oh.
I don't know if that's what the Twitch just said. 60 days means 60 days.
Well, I saw some backlash from the liberal media at the beginning. He said he's going to give him 2 weeks. He said, no. He said, I'm going to give you with up to 2 weeks whenever he gave us 2 weeks.
You got 1 day.
It was the next day.
It was the next day.
Yeah.
And so I think that.
Which is still inside of 2 weeks.
It's still inside of 2 weeks. I think that now that it's, again, we've said it before, I'm glad we only record once a week.
Yeah.
Because it gives me time to really dwell on my thoughts and dwell and not be so reactive in certain situations. There were times over the last couple of weeks, like I really wanted to talk about, and we're not going to dive deep into this because it doesn't matter anymore, but there was a lot of uproar about Vanessa Hernandez saying the national anthem in Spanish at a Dodgers game. And this was right about the time where the No Kings protest was happening. And again, this is way back a month ago, and the news cycle has gone away and it's no longer a big deal. But like those types of things that come up as we go through this, like my initial reaction is like, why does it matter if they sang it in Spanish or English?
Mm-hmm.
Like she sang the national anthem. That should be something we should be thankful for. And so like, those are the things that like I get time to really like dwell and think about as we go through. I do want to talk about one more thing before we hop off. And this is not a minor, it's very, very local to us, but it's been very, very wide on the media side. The Carmelo Anthony with the track killing was charged with first-degree murder. The video was released to the media, and there was not a fight.
Yeah.
The original kind of one was that there was a scuffle between the two. Carmelo Anthony, that was kind of the initial response, was that he was in self-defense in the stabbing. I know someone who watched the video, and it's like a camera from across the field, the view was, and you could tell that literally something happens inside the tent, and then several people run off, and there was never any exchange. You can like actually see inside the tent. Now you can't make out bodies or who the facial images are, but you could. The person that saw it was like, you can definitely tell that there was not a scuffle. There was nothing happened, and then something happens, and everybody runs away.
Yeah, and now the family's asking for millions more.
Yeah,
but people are starting to ask what they spent the original $5 million on.
Did they get $5 million?
That was the initial, yeah.
Jeez. By the way, the reporters were removed on May. This reporter reported this on May the 24th, and they were removed on May 1st. That's what the notes that I have there. Man, we missed a lot of stuff. Missed the Idaho snipers and the forest fire. We missed Tim Waltz assassinating someone. Did you not know about that?
The attempt on him.
No, not the attempt on him. They murdered that lady.
Oh, yeah.
And then it comes out that the guy who murdered him
yeah.
was like, yeah, Tim Waltz told me to do this.
Well, it did not. It was an attempt on her. It was Klobuchar.
Hold on.
He wanted to take her seat.
Yes.
But she didn't die.
Yeah, she did.
No.
Are you sure? Hold
I'm
on.
sure. We're not going to edit this. You're seeing this live.
Tim Waltz.
Crickets while you look it up.
Hold on. This is coming from the BBC.
If Amy Klobuchar died, I would have saw it. No, I've been gone.
Not Amy Klobuchar. The lady that was on on Saturday were gunned down in their home.
Who, though?
In what? Hold on. Who were the victims? State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark were shot and killed in their home, the governor said. And this is after he had come out and she had voted against something. This was on June the 16th. And she had voted against that.
Okay, well, I don't know. He's getting a lot of press about assassinations. He had an attempt on him. The one I saw was someone had made an attempt on Amy Klobuchar, and the gunman who made the attempt said that he was paid to do it by Tim Waltz.
Yeah, same guy.
So he could take her seat.
Yeah, same person.
So he was successful with a state rep.
Mm-hmm.
But like Tim Waltz doesn't want that state rep's seat.
But she voted against some kind of thing.
Yeah. So that was like retribution.
Yeah.
That guy's got some stuff going on.
Yeah, he needs to fall
and
back
he's a
into...
liar. Like he's a known liar.
Yeah.
He's been caught in lies.
Kind of some other things we'll talk about later. We do alligator Alcatraz.
I think I like it.
It's a blip on the radar.
I put it in the same category as Gulf of America and UFC fight on 4th of July. Like it's.
I saw a great. Have you been seeing the Yeti memes?
Yeah.
The Yeti TikToks, and it was Yetis on alligators, and they're chasing people down. It's hilarious. So, you got anything big going on now that you're back from vacay?
Catching up.
Yeah. Man, my year's about to start. I'm gonna be so busy.
Yep.
Well, it's not. I still got 2 more weeks. I guess a week and a half, but I'm getting there. Like I was telling my wife the other day, I was like, "Are you ready to go back?" She was like, "Not yet, but I can feel myself getting there." I'm like, "Yeah, me too." You know, when you have this amount of time off, you kind of get to a point where you're like, "Okay, I'm ready to go back."
Oh man, I hit the ground running this morning going to work. Like I worked while I was on vacation, but like just like I was ready to be back. I was ready to go to work. Like I got so much done. I was so productive. It was good.
What you're telling me is you need to take another month off so you can be even more productive.
I don't know. If I take another month off, I might forget how to do my job. So
that's true. So, all right, man. Have a good week.